Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. You found the paranormal guys. We are here tonight. We've got a good lineup, good show.
Here, winter is warmer. Winter season.
At the Sportcat show.
That's right. Winter is warmer at the Sportcat show. We are going to be live for the next 2 hours. We're live on Guyz Radio. We also have the phone lines open at 1-888-88. Let me get this right. 1-888-88 Guyz, YERGZ. Whew, that was a tongue twister. So I'll put it up here on the display. Let's see who we got hiding backstage here. We have Bedizzle.
I made it.
And Deanna.
Shut up, it's Dina.
Strawberry wine.
That's right. Just like Dina Carter. Dina Carter.
I keep thinking she's the one that killed herself in the hotel room.
No, that was Mindy.
That was Mindy McCready.
Mindy McCready.
Guys do it all the time.
I heard Kenny Chesney, that song he sings about she was a big star.
Yeah, big star.
Singing karaoke at Banana Joe's or whatever.
Banana Joe's bar.
Yeah. I keep thinking that song was about Mindy McCready, but I don't know.
My favorite. See, that's one of those songs that kind of lit a fire under me to do a podcast too.
Oh yeah.
But like I had like a vision one time. I wasn't even thinking about it, but like it just came to me. And he sings tonight like Joe Rogan in a Bama hat. It came to me. It came to me just out of the blue. Oh shit! It did.
All right. I just got an email from our guest. He's having some problems logging in, so he's going to be here shortly.
I think Prospecting USA is a good fill-in. We'll get him on here.
Yep, we can get him on.
Was he a part of the?
He's got stories and stories and stories.
Talk about his ghost roast.
But does he got a coaching tree that falls under Paul Bear Bryant?
I don't know.
Wendell maybe.
Might. You never know.
Wendell's still mourning Coach. Prospecting still mourning Coach Burgess from because he's from the same county Wendell is from where Coach Burgess is.
Yeah. Well, tonight, Mike, it is Mike, isn't it? Richman. Better get it straight. Is going to be here tonight. He has written a book about the coach George Allen of Washington Redskins, now Commanders fame. And he's going to tell us all about him, his new book, and we'll talk sports for a little while. And then we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk some PD and, that's just a filler for the Big Brother stuff that'll come on after that. So, but
Big Brother stuff, I'm out.
Well, no, he was a contestant on Big Brother, but he was actually a New York City narcotics officer.
Well, Wendell, I'm sorry you don't care about sports, but you should care about us, Wendell. So, because we love you.
He's written 4 books, but he's written some articles also about PTSD and some other medical things that are actually very interesting.
He knows about ghost roast too, Wendell.
Who wrote the book? You confuse me.
Mike.
I'm just fucking around.
Oh, okay.
I am lying. There's Kevin S is here.
Kevin S is here. Kevin. I'm calling Soul Wendell. Everybody's here. Tonight is we're deviating a little bit and we're doing some sports stuff. So, and Mike is actually backstage now, so let's get him on here
Go
so we can
sports.
talk some sports.
Mike.
Dina, I hope you're ready for this. Hey, Mike, how
Hi
are
there.
you? The show.
Good. How are you, Glenn?
I'm
Hail
doing
to the Redskins.
That's right. Don't get me censored on YouTube now. Mike, this is my other co-host, Dina and
Hi.
Bobby.
Nice to meet you,
What's
Mike.
We're excited to have you on, and we've
Excited
all
to be here.
been.
Does Bobby go by Bobby Dizzle or just Bobby?
Both.
Would it-
However
both.
you feel.
Yeah, he makes me
usually-
call him sir. So
He usually goes by BobbyDizzle.com.
Yeah, BobbyDizzle.com.
You can say the whole thing.
BobbyDizzle.com. Shameless plugs left and right. That's all I'm about.
Mhm.
yeah, he is.
Are all of you? Are you in Florida?
I'm in
No.
Atlanta. Bobby is in Alabama, and Dina is in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Great.
So,
We got
we're
Florida
kinda-
surrounded. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take him over.
Florida better look out.
One-time Redskins country, by the way.
Mhm.
Yes.
The Redskins
Well,
were
I'm
once
Florida.
the team of the South.
Yep.
Well, yeah. They're the nation's team. What are you talking about?
Well, that was really big about George Allen. He wanted the Redskins to be the national team, not the Dallas Cowboys, which in part was what led to his antipathy for the Cowboys. He couldn't stand them and their snooty image as being America's team.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he just didn't like that at all about him. He wanted, being in the nation's capital, he wanted the Redskins to be America's team.
That would make more sense. A
It
lot
should
more,
be.
actually.
It was 2010 was the year I realized that Washington Redskins were not in Washington State.
Oh, my goodness.
My entire life. I worked with the guy that
Kids
lived in
graduate college.
I worked with a guy from Fort Belvoir, and he started talking about how much he loved the Washington Redskins. I'm like, wait a minute, are they in Washington, D.C.? It's like, yeah, what'd you think? So I don't know. I've heard of the Redskins my whole life. I was like, wait, what? They're not okay.
Wow. I'm sorry,
Well,
Mike.
actually, back in the day, I can tell you, back in the day, like in the late 1930s, the Redskins actually practiced in Spokane, Washington.
Oh.
They held
Really?
practices there. So one of their players, Turk Edwards, great lineman from back in that era, who is now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he went to school in Washington State. So knowing that area, the Redskins, he helped the Redskins coordinate practices out there. They practiced out there for a while.
Okay.
Wow, that's a long way to take gear.
Yeah,
It is.
that's
Back in
the
the
other
day, it was
side.
all truck. So, well, they started in Boston, so but that was many years
Oh.
ago. So, yeah, the
Right. Well,
Redskins-
that was their original city. They were the Boston Redskins, the first Boston Braves, the very
Braves,
first
yes.
season,
Yeah.
1932, and then they switched to the Redskins the following year, 1933, to maintain a kinship with the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox, Redskins.
Okay.
That was in part the reason that they were named the Redskins.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
that is correct. They do have a little bit of a touch of history on baseball. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. So,
I did not know that.
yeah. See, and that's why I say if they made the Redskins change their name, they should make the Atlanta Braves change their name. I'm on board for that. So,
Well, I'll just add one little thing to that story is that the reason for changing the name was not only to have that tie-in with the Boston Red Sox, is that the owner of the of the team, George Preston Marshall, he liked movies, Hollywood movies, and there was one particular movie he liked called Red Skin, which was a 1929 silent movie, and it was very sympathetic toward the plight of Native Americans. So he really liked that movie. His wife, by the way, was a silent movie star. So
Oh, okay.
he loved being among the rich and powerful.
wow, I didn't know
See,
that.
People
Dina.
don't understand or realize, or look at the history as to why things are named after something that it could be a tribute or honor to them, instead of just saying, oh,
Yeah,
we need to change this because it might be offensive.
Right.
You
Well, it's part of the era that we live in now.
Yeah, I know.
the mob likes being
culture.
told what to do.
Yeah, it really stinks.
My favorite example of that is here in Huntsville. I've said this many times, but they marched past 3 buildings named after Nazis to tear down a Confederate monument.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah.
the biggest case of do what you're told sheep that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike, you wrote, well, you're actually I don't want to say if you're the official historian of the Washington Redskins, but by everything I've ever read, you're pretty close.
Well, I was never official. I was never official as in employed by the organization, but I previously did call myself the Redskins historian, but when they retired the name and logo, I took on Mike Richman journalist as my.
You don't want to be known as a commander?
I don't want to be aligned with the Commanders, no.
Unfortunately, I still follow them, but yeah, and we got Tutty now to honor the Hogs. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So, but you wrote the book about one of the greatest coaches. Of course, he was a little bit before I was really understanding football. Was George Allen, and it's quite a book that you've written there explaining how he came from such small, background to what he is now, and his legacy tree is pretty impressive too.
Sure. Well, I mean, he grew up in the Great Depression in the Detroit area, and he learned from a very young age a very strong work ethic and the importance of work, and because he was, for a time, he was the primary breadwinner in the household. So, and as I quoted him in the book, he said this wrote this in one of his future books. He said he was born with a type A personality, which really, when you come to think of it, I mean, he had all of the characteristics really at that time to want to go on and achieve. He had that that motivation that would be needed later in life. That's the way he grew up, and he also developed a very strong love for sports. He played a series of sports in high school. He was a three sport star at Lake Shores High School in the Detroit area, and but by the time he got to college, he knew he couldn't advance to the professional level playing, although he was good at intramurals, but he liked coaching. And he even thought about coaching at a very young age, even before college. And even, that was a very bold idea at the time, because being in the Great Depression, you would think that somebody would want to do something a little more practical. But he thought of coaching in sports, particularly football, and he certainly realized his dream. I mean, he stayed focused on it, and he remained determined throughout his whole life to achieve what he set out to do.
And one of my favorite quotes from him was, losing is worse than dying. You have to get up the next morning and face it all over again.
Right.
If that's not motivational in itself, what is?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, he had a few of those quotes throughout the years that, some of which he would share with his players, and I could read a few of them to you right now. Is what I am doing or about to do getting us closer to our goal, winning? What you do during the rest of the year determines how you play during the regular season. Ask yourself, what do you really want to accomplish? If not us, who? If not now, when? He would post those quotes on the walls of the locker room so the players could read them. He was a great motivator. He's actually NFL Films did in their top 10 series in 2008. They did the top motivational coaches. He was number 5 of all time. I was actually part of that show, and I spoke about George Allen. But yeah, he was number 5 among the all-time greatest motivational coaches. Most of his players loved playing for him. I mean, he would tell players, the special teams players, and back then special teams weren't the most noticeable, recognized players on the field, but he would tell them before the game, listen, the game rests on your shoulders. And they believed what he said, and they would go out there and play hard. And special teams actually made the difference in so many games for George Allen coach teams, both with the Rams and the Redskins.
Yeah, he said he counted on them to win at least 2 per season for him, just the special teams alone. So,
Oh, absolutely right. He would look at the special teams to win at least 2 games. And I'll give you one example of how important special teams were to George Allen's teams. In 1967, the next to last game of that regular season was against the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers set up to punt with about there was a little more than a minute left, and a Rams player named Tony Guillory, basically an unknown player. He was a linebacker, but he was at that point he was positioned on special teams, so he wasn't really known that well. Comes through, he blocks the punt. Rams recovered. They took it down to the 5-yard line. Roman Gabriel threw a touchdown pass to Bernie Casey. Rams win that game 27-24. So it was George Allen beating a Vince Lombardi coach team. That was one of his most dramatic regular season victories in his 12-year NFL coaching career. The following week, the Rams beat the Baltimore Colts in the final regular season game and went to the first round of the playoffs that year, 1967. But that's just an example of the importance that Allen put on special teams. They would make these pivotal plays that turned around the course of a game.
Oh, yeah.
And he hired one of the first special teams coaches, too, in Dick Vermeil, who wrote the foreword for my book. He hired Vermeil in 1969 as a special teams coach. The Eagles the same year hired Marv Levy as their special teams coach. So those two were the first 2 special teams coaches in the NFL.
That's interesting. And they're both under his legacy tree, too, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. Yes, after leaving L.A. and starting in Washington in 1971, Allen hired Marv Levy as a special teams coach. So Levy was the Redskins special teams coach in 1971 and 72. Vermeil had already departed. After 69, he was with Allen for 1 season. He departed. I believe he became the UCLA coach in 1970, or it could have been 71, but it was around that time. But either Vermeil or Levy actually could have written the foreword for the book. But yeah, they were both part of Allen's coaching tree.
Did Frank Beamer, was he part of that too? I mean, were they like were they his Frank Beamer's inspiration?
I don't believe so. No, Frank Beamer from
West Virginia or Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. I don't believe so. No.
Yeah, he was a big special teams guy. They call it Beamer ball. They basically played a different game.
He was not part of the Allen tree, from what I remember. But another college coach, Howard Schnellenberger, who won the national championship in Miami in 1983. He was part of Allen's coaching tree. He coached with Allen with the Los Angeles Rams, I believe, 2 seasons, 1966, 67. So yeah, he was. But then he gained his real fame coaching later on in college, and he won that national championship in Miami in 83.
Then he left.
Right. I believe he later became the coach of Louisville, right?
Yeah. He bounced. And Jimmy Jones did. That was wild. I mean, you wouldn't think of somebody succeeding in Miami and then just, I'm out of Miami.
Yeah, it's weird.
I didn't even know that happened until I watched that documentary, The U. I was like, wait, he left? It's Miami. It's one of the blue blood jobs.
Right. Oh, you mean one of the ESPN 30 for 30s, I believe? Yeah, I was on the Miami football team. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That is probably one of the best, other than the Iron Bowl one. That the U is like the GOAT of the 30 for 30s.
Yeah.
That was a good one too. But that's a very good series. Actually, in that series, they made one on the Redskins scab team in 1987, and that was the team that they won 3 games in that replacement series. They went 3-0, and so when the Redskins regulars came back, they were in first place in the NFC East at 4-1, and I was interviewed for that production as well. But that was I thought they did an excellent job making that one. And then those scab players later received Super Bowl rings because they were so instrumental in that Redskins team.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember that season well. Yeah, they really were. Yeah, like I said, George Allen was slightly before me because I remember more the Gibbs era. But looking back at the Redskins' history, he had so many. Well, they called him old at the time, but so many talented players is what was impressive to me. He would rather have a team full of, we'll just call them talent, people that knew the job. Basically, that was the way he looked at it. If my understanding from your book is correct, if they know the job,
that is correct. Yeah, well, he preferred veteran players when he became a head coach in the NFL in 1966, he focused primarily on veteran players for the rest of his NFL coaching career, and even his 2 seasons in the USFL as well. And there was really a paradox about that whole situation because Allen was the head talent scout for the Chicago Bears from 1959 to 1965, and he was key to making some major rookie draft choices, like Mike Ditka. He was instrumental in drafting Mike Ditka, who's in the Hall of Fame today. He was instrumental in the Butkus Sayers draft picks in 1965. Butkus went number 3 and Sayers went number 4 in the first round that year. Wow. That was George Allen as the Bears head talent scout that year. Also, there were 2 other rookie players who the Bears drafted. One in the first round, Steve DeLong, who opted to play for the San Diego Chargers in the AFL. That time, the NFL and AFL had separate drafts. So he made the Pro Bowl one time and was a really solid offensive lineman in his professional football career. And a running back named Jim Nance, the Bears drafted him in the 4th round. He opted to play for the Boston Patriots in the AFL. He was a 2-time Pro Bowl player, 2-time All-Pro in his professional career. So that was a remarkable draft. I mean, I think the 74 Steelers draft is probably the greatest one of all time. But that 65 Bears draft, which Allen had a hand in, was a phenomenal draft. So the point I'm getting at is he had such a keen eye for rookie talent when he held that role with the Bears, head talent scout. But then when he got to the head coaching level, he focused almost entirely on veteran players. I mean, made so many trades for veteran players. I asked his son, Bruce Allen, who later became an executive in the NFL, who was a ball boy too for the Los Angeles Rams when his father coached there, and he was a ball boy as well for some of the years when his father coached the Redskins. And the way Bruce explained it is that his father felt a tremendous urgency to win when he became a head coach. Because you look at that era, it wasn't like it is today that like one season and you're out if you have a really bad season. But there was still a lot of pressure back then. The pressure was building. The television contracts were becoming a lot more lucrative. So the money was there. So the pressure was there was building on the coaches to really perform. And Allen felt that, and he believed he could win fastest with the veteran players. And his formula certainly paid off. I mean, he didn't have a losing season in his 12 years in the NFL, and then in 2 years in the USFL were winning seasons. So that's quite a mark.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at it now, you can even look at it in the baseball world. Now, all they want to do is buy the talent and buy the Super Bowl or the World Series, or you have some of these owners that have, deep pockets, and that's the way to go.
Right.
So that's still, I would think that would still be considered an influence of him, because if without the greatest talent, you're not going to, I won't say you're not going to win, but because there's people that just pop up out of nowhere, so.
Right. Well, back then, I mean, you didn't have free agency in the NFL like you have today. I mean, there's a lot more movement, obviously, today because, there's a lot more leniency in terms of the players leaving after 4 years or whatever. Back then, it was much more restricted. So the players were, they signed a contract and that was going to be their team for the rest of their career unless they were traded. So Allen knew that that the way he could get those veteran players in there was primarily through trades. With the Rams, he was in charge of the active roster. Dan Reeves, the Rams owner, was in charge of the draft. When Allen came to the Redskins in 1971, he handled both the coaching and general manager duties from 71 through 77. So he had both of those responsibilities with the Redskins. He only had the active roster with the Rams, but still with the Rams, he made about 50 trades. With the Redskins, he made something like 80 trades. I mean, all told, he had a lot of trades. A lot of trades for really good veteran players, and among the best ones, Roger Brown, who he traded for to get in with the Rams, and Roger Brown became part of the fearsome foursome after Rosie Greer went down with an injury. And with the Redskins, he traded for Kenny Houston, all-pro safety with the Houston Oilers, and Houston went on to 5 more Pro Bowl seasons with the Redskins. That was probably Allen's greatest trade ever, getting Kenny Houston in, and Roger Brown was up there as well.
Now, getting back or getting ahead of ourselves, I guess, or getting fast forwarding. Let's fast forward a bit and bring it up to a little bit modern history. We had somebody ask, what was the name of your books and when were they written? Well, this one was written in 23. Am I correct? This is a brand new book.
George Allen, A Football Life is hot off the shelves. My first book, The Redskins Encyclopedia, was published in 2007. My second book, The Washington Redskins Football Vault, 2010. That was a heavy memorabilia book, and I wrote the text for that. My third book, which was published by Youth for Tomorrow, Joe Gibbs Foundation, is called Joe Gibbs: An Enduring Legacy. And my current book, George Allen, A Football Life, just published this fall, University of Nebraska Press. I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
that's great.
But this is what I would call my signature book. And the reason I say that is, well, the Redskins Encyclopedia was a very time-consuming project, and put a lot of effort into that book. But I grew up with the George Allen Redskins. I mean, that was a team that I rooted for as a kid, and I was just so hooked on that team. And I came to know what a great coach George Allen is, and I knew who a lot of the players were. I could match their names with the numbers, and I would imitate the throwing motion as a kid of Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer. So, and actually my father, who owned a men's clothing store in Rockville, Maryland, in a promotional appearance, he had Charlie Haraway, Redskins running back, come over one day to sign autographs. So that was a treat for me as a kid. And that photo is actually in the book. It's very, very in the early pages of the book. It was taken right after the 1971 season. I'm standing in front of the store with my father and Charlie Haraway. He came over in that promotional appearance. So I will never forget that. I mean, that was such I was in heaven as a kid. And then I also acquired a liking and a talent for writing. I had a sixth grade project. It was a bound written project called The Amateur Who Played Like a Pro. I still have it. It was about a star football player at Ohio State who went on to become went on to star in the Rose Bowl. At that time, the Rose Bowl every year was between the Big Ten and the Pac-8 or the Pac-10. I mean, those two conferences collided in the Rose Bowl. So, and it was a fictional account, but it was based on real life occurrences. The Big Ten always playing the Pac-8 or Pac-10. So I wrote for my high school newspaper, college newspaper. So and I'd gone to my mother took me to a lot of museums in the DC area as a kid, so I acquired a love for history. So all of those interests and talents, they all there was a confluence of them, I guess. When I started my professional life, I chose journalism as my career, and one thing led to another, and I have embarked on all these literary projects.
That's great. You're doing great. I've enjoyed them so far. And somebody asks if it was available at Barnes and Noble. I'm going to assume it is, and it's probably available online with Amazon as well, I would think.
Absolutely. Well, the book is not only in the two places you mentioned, Barnes and Noble and Amazon, but for a signed copy, for an author autograph copy, just go to my website, MikeRichmanJournalist.com. Richman is RICHMAN, MikeRichmanJournalist.com. That's for an author autograph copy. And but you can also get it off Amazon or go to the bookstore, go to Barnes and Noble. But and also on my website, two of my other books are still available for sale: The Redskins Encyclopedia and Joe Gibbs: An Enduring Legacy, and I will autograph those as well.
Okay,
this may be kind of inside baseball, but did he serve in World War II? I see where he was in the Navy officers training.
Right, he was in the Navy B-12 program. Yes, a very good question. He was actually, I'm sure the program was training future naval officers to serve.
Yeah, I'm assuming they were about to get him over there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was definitely part of that program. He hopped around to a few colleges. The trade-off was these guys would have their college education paid for through the program. So he was first at or one of the schools he started at Marquette University was there. He was
Mhm.
there another small school, I believe, in Wisconsin, and then he transitioned to Princeton University. That was his last stop in the D12 program. So
All right.
that's where he actually he came in contact with Albert Einstein, who was
Oh,
an
wow.
adjunct professor at
Mhm.
Princeton, and he actually he went to Einstein's house one Sunday morning after church, and he knocked on the door, and Einstein's assistant came down. Einstein was he was an adjunct professor at the university.
Mhm.
So Einstein comes down, and Alan asked him, Professor, do you play checkers? I'd love to play you in a game of checkers. And Einstein says, well, people say a lot of things about me, but I'm not really a checkers player. So, so they ended up not playing a game of checkers. Of course, Alan was a very good checkers player. Of all things, he forgot to bring a checkers board. I mean, he
Oh,
was
no.
so detail oriented in his career and so preparation oriented. In this case, he forgot to bring a checkers board, and Einstein didn't have a checkers board, so they didn't play checkers. But while Alan was walking out of the house, Einstein made this sound, boom, and he spread his arms like boom, like that. And what he was referring to was the atomic bomb,
Oh,
which was dropped a few months later in the summer of '45. I guess their encounter was like December of 1944 or something. So the
Mhm.
atom bomb was dropped a few months later. So, but Alan didn't know it at the time what he's referring to. But so yes, that's what he's talking. Because Einstein was, I don't think he was part of the Manhattan Project, but his
Mhm.
theory of relativity was key to the creation of the atomic bomb.
Yeah, they consulted him for it, but he never did join in.
Right? Didn't
right.
yeah? Oppenheimer, I think, consulted him. So
Mhm. That was such a good movie.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that.
They had it even. When was the Trinity test? Was that might have even been after that happened then?
the Trinity was 1945.
Yeah,
That was like
just a few months before.
well, that was like I think just a
June.
few weeks. That was July 1945.
Yeah, I mean it was close, so nobody knew anything about it then.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that was July 45, and then the first
Mhm.
bomb was dropped, I believe, on August 6th,
Right before my
1945.
birthday.
Oh. Right, wasn't that the first bomb was on Hiroshima,
Mhm.
and then the second one was Nagasaki, I think,
Nagasaki.
Yeah.
August 9th.
The second one woke up Godzilla. Not many people know.
You're a veteran now, right? You served?
Fun fact. Me? No, I've been working for the Army for 20 years, but I've never served.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I feel like I have, other than the running. Other than the running in the sand. I've been with the Army since 07.
Okay.
Wow,
Very nice.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't
I was just gonna say,
I said
Bobby
I don't know what would happen if I worked anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do for the Army?
I'm a network engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very
IT.
nice.
He's a secret squirrel. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
So.
I'm a
Well, I should
sleepy
say that
squirrel. is what I
my
am.
full-time profession
Me
is with the
too.
Department of Veterans Affairs. What's that?
Sleepy squirrel.
I said at work I'm a sleepy squirrel, not secret.
Right.
I may have to.
You were saying go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry.
I said I may have to excuse myself and get some coffee.
All right. Well, it's all good.
I think I'll do that
do
real
that.
quick. I'm sorry. Be right
Okay.
back.
Mike, you said your real job was, or I shouldn't say your real job. Your other job was what now? With the Veterans Affairs?
I work for Department of Veterans Affairs, yes. I'm now
Okay.
a communication specialist in the Veterans Experience Office. And the mission of that office is to improve the customer experience for veterans enrolled in VA or VA healthcare. So the particular project that I'm involved with, and I initiated this in the office, is a radio outreach program, which the heart of that program is public service announcements that I record on topics of tremendous interest to veterans. It could be legislative issues. It could be promoting VA healthcare, how VA healthcare helps veterans, and they should enroll in VA healthcare. VA home loans, we have a PSA on that.
Mhm.
But we have non-VA related PSAs as well. One is on the U.S. National Park Service offering free lifetime passes to veterans. So there are topics of non-VA topics on there too. But that's the primary program that I'm working on within the office.
Okay. Very good. In your entire career of sports journalism, who do you think is, I won't say we'll just say your favorite. Who was the one that you really enjoyed interviewing the most and doing all of the work with?
In all of the players, coaches, just across the entire spectrum,
Yeah.
I would say that Joe Theismann, for my first book, The Redskins Encyclopedia, and even this book, George Allen, A Football Life, he's probably been the greatest source that I've had among everyone who I've interviewed. First of all, he spanned 3 coaching eras. Allen acquired him when he was coming out of the CFL in 1974. Allen traded a draft pick for him. So he played for George Allen for several seasons. Then he played for Allen's successor, Jack Pardee. Then he played for Joe Gibbs, where he had his greatest years. So he spanned 3 Redskins coaching eras. So that's why he was so important to the encyclopedia, which was a compilation of all the Redskins seasons from 1932 to 2006, 75 years. For the George Allen book, he really gave me great insight into Allen's personality and Allen's philosophy in coaching. And the fact that, like for instance, when Theismann arrived in Washington in 1974, Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer were already established as the 2 veteran quarterbacks there. Theismann said at his opening press conference that he hoped to be able to compete for the starting role against Theismann and Jurgensen. Well, that irked those 2 veteran quarterbacks. So that started a little bit of a quarterback controversy right there. And Allen, at the same time, he wouldn't let Theismann start. Theismann did not start under George Allen until 1976. And even then, he rotated with Kilmer, and he rotated in 77 as well. So I explored the theory in my book. If George Allen had given Theismann a chance to start earlier in his career, such as 1974, which was Theismann's first year playing for Allen, would Allen's teams have been even better than they were? I mean, he made the playoffs in 74 and 76, but they still were not one of the elite teams in the league. The Steelers and the Cowboys and the Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams were better teams at the time. So I explored that theory. Would starting Joe Theismann have made the Redskins a better team at that point? Would it have enabled Theismann to develop faster? Because with the Rams, Allen had a very good quarterback, much better than any quarterback he had in Washington, Roman Gabriel. Gabriel was he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league when Allen coached there. So after the 74 season, Edward Bennett Williams, the Redskins president who ran the daily operations of the team, he wrote a memo to George Allen saying that he needs to give Theismann a chance to start. He said Theismann, has the potential to start. And even Ted Marchibroda, the Redskins offensive coordinator, who had tremendous insight into what was going on, he told Allen that Theismann deserved a chance to start. Well, Allen being Allen, so veteran focused and so in love with Bill Kilmer. Kilmer was like an extension of Allen on the field, conservative play calling, and he did what Allen told him to do out there. And so he was like his alter ego. He refused to start Theismann in 75. And like I said, it wasn't until 1976 where he allowed him to rotate with Kilmer. But it wasn't until Jack Pardee became the coach in 1978 that Theismann became the bona fide starter on the team. So that was a long-winded way of saying that Theismann was so important. There have been other players as well. I mean, Ron McDowell was very important too. I really enjoyed talking to him. Very humble person, and Allen acquired him in 1971 when Allen first came to the Redskins, and McDowell was actually, and Kilmer as well. They were 2 players where Allen resuscitated their careers. He was known to do that with veteran players.
Yes, he was.
Veteran players who were on the outs with their current teams, like McDowell was. He was on the outs with the Bills owner at the time, and the Buffalo Bills. That was his previous team. So he wanted to be traded, and sure enough, Allen acquired him in a trade. And Roy Jefferson was he disliked Carroll Rosenblum, who was the owner of the Baltimore Colts at the time. So he wanted to be traded too. So Allen acquired him in 1971. So trying to think of some others.
Reminds me a lot of Belichick. Rehabilitating the guys and making them stars.
Yes, very much so. Belichick has done that as well. I mean, Randy Moss, I guess, is one guy that comes to mind there. I mean,
Mhm.
Belichick gave him a chance in 2007, and Randy Moss was so key to that, nearly undefeated Patriots team in 2007.
Do you
Randy
follow
Moss.
much college football now?
To be honest, not a whole lot. I mean, I went to a university that's not really known for football. I mean, University of Maryland. It's not really a football school. Although when I went there, they had some pretty good teams. Boomer Esiason was their quarterback, and now, of course, with CBS and formerly a great Cincinnati Bengals quarterback and other teams in the NFL. Yeah, Bobby Ross was the coach. He was a great coach,
Mhm.
and later took
Yeah,
the
he
San
was.
Diego Chargers to the Super Bowl.
Well, I guess I was going to ask you about the FSU, if you had any opinion on how that went down with the college playoffs.
Uh, I would have to say, you mean the fact that they were left out of the
They were left out, yeah.
4-team format at
Mhm.
the end, and they had the best record of those schools,
Yes.
all the schools. On the surface, it doesn't look fair. I mean,
I, I agree.
I guess they took the strength of schedule into consideration as well, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
They took that, and what they said that the reason was because their starting quarterback was injured and was not going to play, so they ranked them lower than Alabama, which had lost them to them. So,
Right.
which didn't make a lot of sense to me. But who am I? I'm not an ESPN
Alabama
journalist.
lost to Texas, not Florida State.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bobby's my Alabama historian.
So we would never lose to an ACC team.
Oh, come on now.
Right.
But I'm a Maryland fan this year because they play Auburn in the bowl game at the Protective Life Stadium or Independence Bowl.
Is it the Independence Bowl?
I believe so. It's Auburn and Maryland.
Right. Yeah, Maryland actually started really strong this year. I think they were 5-0 at one point, or maybe 4-0, and then they just, again, I said when they moved to the Big Ten that they weren't going to be able to compete against the Big Ten powerhouses such as Ohio State and Michigan and Michigan State on a regular basis. I believe they did beat Michigan State this year, but that conference is just so strong. I mean, it's got its established powerhouses, and I said Maryland will never be able to beat those teams on a consistent basis.
That'd be a tough one. But they've got an Alabama quarterback, Tagovailoa, the transfer.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's going to get a look in the NFL though. I don't.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, he's smaller than his brother, and I don't think he has the skills that his brother has. So
No, or he'd beat Alabama.
right.
Yeah, his brother's very talented.
But did that answer your previous question about favorite people that I've spoken to over the years?
Yeah.
Theismann, he's been so important for me. I have to say also for this book. I mean, the Allen family, they were wonderful. George Allen, the son, he led the way in terms of he was my primary source for information, and whether it was phone interviews or email. Bruce Allen, I did 2-hour conversations with him on the phone and email. He always was there for me answering emails. Jennifer Allen, she was always there for me, whether it was phone interviews or emails as well. And Greg Allen too. I interviewed him, but not to the same extent as the other three. But George Allen, the son, he was the most important, and former, I should say, former Virginia governor and U.S. senator.
Yeah.
I saw a question pop up.
What year did Joe Theismann go down? I didn't. Sorry.
1985.
85.
Yeah,
okay.
85.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's when he went down with that horrific.
It was rough.
Injury, yeah.
I remember where I was to the second.
What's that?
I said I remember where I was to the second with that. It was a life-changing moment for me.
Right. Well, it is actually one of those plays where you remember where you were when it happened. Like, for me, when Len Bias died, I can remember that, the great Maryland basketball player. I remember where I was at that point. But Theismann going down too was kind of like one of those. I don't want to compare it to the severity of JFK being assassinated, but it's kind of like, yeah, you do remember.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Well, and it's one of the plays that, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, made LT famous. So, but he was going to be famous either way it went.
Oh,
So.
he was already a great player at that time, and
Oh yeah, he would come off there, and one of my favorite Redskins players is really an unknown to everybody, Dexter Manley. I loved Dexter Manley. And,
well, he wrote the forward for my first book, The Redskins Encyclopedia.
Okay, I did not know that.
Dexter Manley did, yeah.
Dexter,
great, tremendous.
I don't know why it was the way he come off screaming off the line, literally screaming, and he had that just play until you can't play anymore mentality.
Right, he had that ferocity that many players had back then. I still think many players have it today, but it was a different era. I mean, money, of course, was a consideration, but those guys, when they went out there, they you didn't see all the lovey-dovey stuff that you see today going on with the conversations after the game and things like that. I mean, it's those players. They, particularly with the Redskins and Cowboys, they truly disliked each other.
No, I can't stand the Cowboys. So it's almost as bad as my Tennessee Alabama thing. So,
but Dexter Manley actually he took the mantle during the Gibbs era in terms of hating the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would make remarks that got under their skin. So, back in the George Allen era, it was a player named Dyron Talbert, another defensive lineman. He was a tackle. He would say things like Roger Staubach wears skirts and Roger Staubach can't read defenses in reference to the Cowboys' great quarterback. So he would make comments like that. But Dexter Manley made those comments during the Gibbs era.
Yeah, he definitely
wears skirts.
He definitely kept it going. Oh,
I actually interviewed Roger Staubach about that at the Hall of Fame in 2003. He said, really, that stuff did bother him. When Talbert or George Allen, for that matter, when they were making comments like that, that stuff really did bother him. And Tom Landry, on the flip side, he wouldn't allow his players to say anything. I mean, his players were like a reflection of him. He was such a stone-faced coach on the sidelines. I mean, Allen was totally the opposite. I mean, he was this gregarious coach on the sidelines, and always flapping his arms, and you could really see his personality in him.
Yeah, but he never
was that rah-rah type coach.
He never cursed, which is something I didn't know until I was reading in your book. I would just assume being a coach, you'd have to curse.
He never cursed.
Being a fan, I curse.
He was really as square as they come. I mean, he wouldn't drink. He rarely had an alcoholic drink as well.
Yeah.
Rarely. I mean, occasionally he had like a half a beer or something like that, or a little blackberry brandy, but he was mostly a teetotaler. He really didn't drink.
It's hard to believe somebody so straight laced. You don't get that now in the NFL, that's for sure. So, or it's very, very few and far between. Let's see. If somebody asks, what is your favorite sports? Let me try this again. What do you like to write about the most? Let's put it that way. What sport? I'm going to assume
in terms of sport. Yeah, it has to be football.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of obvious. Ladies lacrosse.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I've written about a cross section of sports over the years. When I was a reporter for the Baltimore Sun, I was actually a prep reporter, high school reporter. So I covered all types of sports. I covered gymnastics, volleyball, track and field, wrestling. So I've covered you name it, I've covered it.
Yeah, a friend of mine is actually he's bounced around from college to college, calling volleyball his entire career. And I didn't know that. I met him down in Florida, and he's like, "Yeah, that's all I do." I was
it's
like,
a very interesting sport. I mean, my daughter actually played volleyball in high school, and then she later played club volleyball. She got associated with a really good club team in the like midway through Washington, Baltimore, and so she was very much involved with volleyball. So we still watch it today when I see her.
Didn't somebody ask if you preferred pro or college football?
Oh, pro by far. Oh. I mean, I can watch a college game if it's like a really meaningful game, like a bowl game, one of the high level bowl games. And I as many people can. I mean, I could really watch that type of a game, but yeah.
Do you follow the talent coming out of the colleges, or?
Oh yeah, I follow the draft.
Okay,
About the time that they're going to be drafted, yeah. But
okay.
I don't necessarily follow the players, like all the big name college players and where they're going to end up. But by the time the draft comes around, I have a say in where I think they may be drafted.
Okay. Are you writing for a newspaper or a journal now, or?
No, I'm not. Well, I have my work at the VA, and then I
Mhm.
just completed this book on George Allen, so I'm seeing the book through right now. I'm doing all kinds of promotions, such as appearing on this great podcast, and I've
Thank you.
been part of many other shows and
Mhm.
radio and podcasts, and I hope to land some TV appearances as well. So just trying to promote the book as much as possible, and yeah, so I'm really uh, very active with all of those activities. But I mean, I have certain ideas, book ideas that I do want to embark on in the near future. So, and another book will happen at some point.
From some of the authors I've interviewed, they seem to see they've got to take a break in between them just to get their mind right. Yeah, get their
Well,
head
yeah, I
back.
mean, I guess another way of saying in terms of what I'm doing right now is I'm coming up for air. I'm seeing this
Yeah.
book through. I put so much time and effort into it, and it was so, so time consuming, and it's such an intellectual challenge, and I mean that takes a lot out of you in itself. And so I'm coming up for air, and just want to make the most of this book and sell as many copies as possible, and just trying to promote it as best I can. But there will be a time when, whether it's 6 months down the road or a year down the road, but where I embark on another literary project. I mean, I have a few other ideas of mine, so um,
You ever
it will
think about
happen.
any nonfiction?
Well, it will most likely be a nonfiction project.
I
I
would
bet
think
You
that'd be
that
mean
would
fun
be
to
what,
do.
easier
where
to
I think about
write.
doing fiction, or
Uh, non.
You meant fiction.
I did mean
American?
fiction. God, what an idiot! I meant
Um,
fiction. God, dog. I really said that
Probably
wrong.
not. I mean, not
Fiction.
at this point in my life. I mean, it would have to maybe come at a time where I don't have the energy, and
Hmm.
I can't do the legwork in terms of the research, like going to libraries or
Yeah.
things like that. Maybe
Creating a universe. That'd be a tough part
creating,
about fiction.
right, right. I will, create a story in my mind and write it, but
Yeah.
now's not the time. But that may come in the future when like I said, when I don't have that, that when I don't want to do the legwork,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the research related legwork.
I was going to say, I would think the fiction book would be easier to write because you put yourself to so much mental acuity to get to the tedious parts of the stats, the history, and make sure you got everything right. I would think that, you could, I'm not an author by
Mhm.
far, but you'd be much easier to fly by the seat of your pants than
Right. Well,
doing a
that's why a lot
nonfiction.
more people want to write fiction books. I mean, it's
Yeah.
much easier. It's much easier to write, but it's much harder to sell. From what I understand, and
Absolutely.
I'm no expert in fictional books, but I think you have to write the entire book in advance to sell it to a publisher.
I
With a
think so. Yeah.
nonfiction book, you can basically sell the idea, and then
Oh, okay.
right, and then they'll take you on. But of course,
Yeah.
when I approached University of Nebraska Press with this idea for the George Allen book, I already had 3 books to my name. So I mean, that helped considerably as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you get out of here, we always ask our guests, since we are the paranormal, we always ask our guests if they've ever had any experience with any paranormal, ghosts, Bigfoot, anything that goes bump in the night or anything like that. Anything in your history there?
Nothing that I can think of offhand.
No, that's fine. No, because not you may be blessed because some people have told us, "Oh yeah, let me tell you about this story that I was out camping." I'm like, whoa, wait, never heard that before. So,
Well, let me actually think. I did think back a little bit, and I remember this happening. Okay, my daughter. I was riding my bike. My daughter was in the back, in the seat in the back. She was like 2 or 3 years old. We were
Mhm.
riding along on the C&O Canal in Washington, which runs from Washington, D.C. all the way to Cumberland, Maryland. But we were riding on part of it, and it was getting dark. It was really getting dark. It was not the time to be riding your bike out there. And I thought I saw somebody riding his or her bike in front of me, and I kept saying something to this person, and I never got an answer. I was trying to get some direction. I wanted to get back to our car, and this person wouldn't answer me. And so maybe I was seeing something that really wasn't there. I don't know, but I thought I saw a bike in front of me, but it was getting dark, and maybe I was seeing bike tracks from a previous bike. I don't know, but I never got an answer from this person in front of me. So that was in answer to your question, that was a very, very strange situation for me. Really spooky, I'd say.
Yeah. We hear about. We had Miranda Maverick on, the MMA. What do you call, I guess, fighter. She was telling us this great story about her being out camping and all that. And at the end of it, we get through it, and she goes, "But it was my dad outside in the tent when she was a little kid."
Well, seriously, this guy, I couldn't get an answer from. I'm pretty certain that there was a bike in front of me. I thought I heard it and saw it, even though it was, like I said, it was getting dark, and it was harder to see, but I couldn't get an answer. It was really, really.
That is eerie. Well, you could have been seeing something. You don't know. And see, that's the thing. You always wonder. We'll call it the paranormal. So.
That's my paranormal situation.
Hey, there you go. Hey, you could go research. There might be some experience of somebody that's their ghost just riding back and forth on the Sea Canal.
We eventually did find our way back to the car, but like I said, we shouldn't have been out that late.
Absolutely. Mike, tell everybody where they can find you. Of course, you've said what's coming up next. And anything you want to tell us the last few minutes you got here. So
sure. Well, like I said, anybody can get a signed copy of 3 of my books: George Allen, A Football Life, The Redskins Encyclopedia, and Joe Gibbs, An Enduring Legacy, through my website, MikeRichmanJournalist.com. And my Twitter handle is at MSR_journalist. I'm very active on Twitter. Facebook is Mike Richman. And I have a YouTube page, Mike Richman Journalist. So that's all my social media. Anybody can find me on any of those outlets. And but I love being on this podcast.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I've been looking forward to it for so long, and because I grew up Redskins fan, Dallas hater. So it was, I've read some of your stuff before. I hadn't, of course, you provided me with a copy of this, and I was thankful for it. So I was really looking forward to having you on. So I hope you hit the New York Times bestseller there with it. So
thank you very much. I'm pushing for it. I'm trying to get some reviews. There's a sports writer with the Southern California News Group that's going to review the book. And Alan coached in Los Angeles. He coached the Los Angeles Rams, and he also coached in college at Whittier. That's where he met Richard Nixon, because Nixon was a graduate of Whittier. So he has very big tie-ins with that area. So this sports writer is going to review the book. A reporter in the Chicago area is going to review it, because Alan was associated with the Chicago Bears. So, and I'm trying to get the Wall Street Journal and maybe the Christian Science Monitor, and love for the Washington Post. Oh, the Washington Times is going to review it too. They're in the process of doing that. Love for the Washington Post to do it, and New York Times as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Mike, we wish you luck, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come back. Just holler at us. And if you think of any more ghost stories,
I will keep that in mind. The next ghost story I have, I'll make sure I get in touch with you.
Drop me a note. You're probably like, this is the weirdest question I've been asked on the show. So.
But no, it did make me think back. I do remember that scenario. It was like, that was about 20 years ago. My daughter, she was either 2 or 3 years old. I remember we were out riding, and I don't have to go through the whole thing again, but it was a very, very, very strange situation.
It stuck with you. Yeah, it stuck with you, so you remember it. So
yeah. Well, thank you very much, Glenn, and Bobby Dizzle, and love the questions, and thank you to your co-host. Her name escapes me.
Dina.
Tina, please
Yeah.
thank her as well.
I will. She's on coffee break. She works an odd shift, so we'll let her go get some caffeine and nicotine. So,
Right.
all right, Michael, I'm gonna let you go. Once again, just holler at us anytime, and I will remember to put your stuff in the comments and the description so people can find you.
Mhm.
I'm tongue-tied tonight. I feel like I've not slept in a week. So,
Will you also be able to send me a MP4 of the or
I can if you'd
a
like.
recording of the interview?
I can if you like. Yes, sir. You want the audio
Yes,
or just audio, or you want audio video?
Audio video, please.
Okay. All right. Probably tomorrow afternoon.
Sure, that would be great. No, I mean, there's no rush. No rush.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I save all of them on the hard drive. I'm one of these guys that's like paranoid I'm gonna lose something. So yeah. So I'll have it. I'll just break it up for you. So very good.
I can also grab it off your I could also grab it off of your YouTube page as well.
Yeah, that's true. You can do that as well. But I don't mind providing it either. So we'll have to see about emailing something that big. Well, I guess I can put it in Dropbox. So
Yeah, Dropbox away.
Yeah, just my segment, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. I doubt you really are interested in CBS's Big Brother TV show. So, I mean, you might be. I don't know.
Be weird if he was.
Nah. So, all right, Mike. Well, thank you very much. You have a wonderful evening, and we will talk at you soon, I hope. And good luck on everything.
Thank you so much.
See you, Mike.
I appreciate very much you having me on.
Oh yeah, fun time.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Well, Bobby, we got Dina's in the background still. She was getting some caffeine. So
now she's commenting on it in the YouTube.
That's funny. Let's see. Well, even Steve's having problems getting it. I don't know what the problem is with let me find the link again. Hold on.
I think it's Streamlabs. Streamlabs is kind of janky. You're
Well,
the only one I
it's
know
the
that
Well, yeah, I know. Don't even get me going. I don't know what to say to that. All right, so I resent him the link. I swear it was the same link. See, this is why I don't like sending the link out in advance, because and this happened before. It's like they changed the sign in, which
it may change
me.
after it starts.
Well, yeah, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to lock it in. Are you chilly, Dina?
I was cold.
Well, just turn the heat on. It's cold out there.
I did. I turned the heat up and I put a jacket on.
Goodness.
Excuse me. Belching every time I come on here. I'm like,
I'm in shorts and a t-shirt over here.
You won't be in what next week? Isn't it supposed to get so cold down in the south?
I don't know.
I'm going to be in Vermont, so I'm already going to be cold. So
yeah,
you'll be dead. You're not going to make it.
You'll be out in the. They'll be in the snow and eating each other.
I think the week we're going to be there is like 38. So,
oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, like that's cold. All right, well, Steve has popped in the background here, so let's bring in Steve. Dave.
What's going on?
Hi.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Good.
Hanging out.
Welcome to the show. Well, this is my co-host, Bobby Dizzle, Dina, and we also have another one hiding in here, JT. So,
Hey.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
I'm good.
All right, how are you?
Good.
So,
hanging in there.
I know where I know you from because I'm a big fan of the show, but your life is a lot more than that. You've got a life of public safety, and now you're a professor.
Yes.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about your career with NYPD and what you're doing, and then we're going to dive into Big Brother. So,
well, I think it's the tale as old as time. I took the civil service exam, looking to get hired. Met the woman of my dreams when I was very young, married her. All of a sudden, have a family. I need medical benefits. NYPD was the first to call. I get hired. I'm in academy. I swear when I first took the job, I didn't even know what the starting pay was. I just knew that it came with medical benefits and that it was a secure position. Went through, I became a detective. I went in various different units, But while I was on the job, I thought, life could be a little bit easier, maybe get paid more and work less type of deal. So I went the education route, ended up getting my master's when I was on the job. And then I had this unyielding desire, instead of buying drugs and organized crime investigations, why not go to law school, make life easier? So
Wow.
I wanted to pursue that. And then the only way I could do that was if it was just so time consuming that it wouldn't have worked unless I went to an administrative role, and my unit was not going to allow it. So I honestly, legitimately was ready to go back to patrol, keep my detective shield, and then maybe do midnights and go to law school during the day. But out of nowhere, I applied for a college tenure position over at State University of New York in Westchester for criminal justice. It almost seemed too good to be true. It was one of those things where I didn't think I was going to get it. Through my application, and all of a sudden I got a call, and then, like everything else, I got another call, and then all of a sudden I had another interview, and then a teaching demo, which I've never taught before. I was completely honest. I said, listen, I've never been in front of a classroom of 40, yet alone college age students to teach. The only teaching I ever did was maybe a rookie detective or rookie police officer coming into a narcotics unit, show them how to do cases, show them how to run cases, teach them the ropes. But I never had 35 students staring at me. But, you sink or swim. So jumped into the deep end, started paddling as hard as I could, and went to law school. But then I turned around and actually really liked this job. It was one of those things, just like, wow, you found your niche. So I stayed. I got tenure in 2016. And life's been good. I can't complain. Love life, love everything about it, love my family. Still married to the same woman after all these years. We got 3 daughters now. The youngest one is my college right now. So, gosh, I feel like I'm getting older as I speak, but that's kind of where it's at. I mean, I love, service. I love, like I said, I joined the police job because I needed the steady pay and the medical benefits. Growing up, and this is something that a lot of people don't know. I was growing up, my dad was a carpenter at first. He was a framer, swung a hammer for a living, drank a lot of beer. But it was a very up and down time. And I think everybody here knows in the 80s, the housing market crashes. My dad was a spec builder. But he was also a veteran from Vietnam. So he ends up taking the civil service exam because a friend of his that he hunts with ended up convincing him to take it. He was 34 years old when he was going through academy. I could not even imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. He smoked a pack a day. He drank a case a night. I mean, this guy was not in any kind of shape to start running with 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, but he did what he had to do. And then when he went to the job, life at home got a lot better. So that's kind of what I was able to gather from my fatherly experiences, growing up. And so when I got married and I had children, I thought to myself, when was my life the best? And that's why I took the civil service. And legitimately, the NYPD was the first to call, and I was the first one to swear. Yeah, so that's about it. And then Big Brother. So listen, that was not on my to-do list. I never thought. I listen. If you had told me tomorrow that I was going to go up into Alaska and to see Bigfoot, I'd probably be less surprised than when I was for Big Brother. I was not prepared. I was not ready. I didn't apply. That's the other thing that people seem to want.
You didn't apply?
I didn't apply.
Oh, wow.
My wife is beautiful. She's my rock, but she loves the show. And in 2010, 2011, she had made the semifinals for the show. So she got to meet the casting people. Robin Cass is the casting director. We got to know a lot of the ones that worked for Robin. And I swear, this is so funny, but in February of 2018, I'm outside working in the yard. I mean, I'm dirty as can be. I'm moving. not a rock pile. A bunch of sticks had fallen from a storm. I was moving them from one edge to the other, on my yard. My wife yells out the door. I'm come in. I'm just in dirt. I'm scratched all up. And she says, listen, are you interested in going on Big Brother? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, no. You should have heard me. I was like, no, not really, no.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, come on. It's $500,000 if you win. And that was like, wait, what did you just say?
Mm-hmm.
She said, all you really have to do is, and I used to watch the earlier episodes, when Derek was on there, he's law enforcement, I supported him.
My favorite season.
Yeah. So, I was like, I'll give it, who do I have to speak to? Who do I have to talk to? I didn't apply, but let's try. And it's kind of very similar to the college thing, right? I do an interview online, and then all of a sudden I'm doing another interview. And then all of a sudden they're doing a background check on me. And then all of a sudden I'm flying out to LA. Like what? I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not allowed to tell anybody. I'm on the plane. I'm like half asleep. And then I go through these interviews, and then all of a sudden, and this is before the Me Too movement, out of nowhere, I have Les Moonves sitting 5 feet in front of me, like asking me questions, and all of his, supporting cast that, and I swear I'm so naive. I didn't know who Les Moonves was. I had no clue. So I was like, all right, here's some dude in a suit. Everybody seems to be kissing his ass. Yeah. Obviously, he's the boss. Obviously, he's in charge. Let me talk directly to him. And I sat down, and that one part of the interview is only supposed to be 5 minutes. That's all it's supposed to be. And he was asking me questions, and we were spitfiring. We were laughing for a good 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then I walked out, and they don't tell you anything. And then I eventually got a call saying that they were coming out to New Jersey, that I might be an alternate. So I was like, whatever. And then they did the whole key thing. And then I was whisked away to LA to sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks before it all starts. So
that had to be the most boring part of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. It was terrible. I make no bones about it. I am who I am. I like freedom. I like doing what I want to do. I don't like being pushed into a room with 4 security officers, 2 in the room to the right, 2 in the room to the left, that have to watch you at all times. You can't leave. And I smoke cigarettes. So I need to get out of the hotel at least 3-4 hours. Otherwise, I'm going to flip out.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that you're not allowed to smoke. No. Yeah. So every 3 or 4 hours, I had this whole personal escort bring me out to the back. I'm out by the dumpsters, smoking. It was crazy. But what the craziest part was, when I went into the house, you can't smoke inside in LA. I mean, you cannot in a building. So you can only smoke it when they open the outside. Now in the show, what they don't show, and what I'll tell you, is that outside backyard is not open for the first 4 days, because that's where all the competitions are.
Right.
Yes.
So I legit was, by the second day, I was yelling at cameras. I was going insane before we went live.
Show me somewhere to smoke. They need to have somewhere you can go, like out by the garbage cans.
Yeah, anywhere. Do something. But
put you a little patio outside or something.
Well, yeah, but you can't even leave. And then not only that, you're thrown into this whole situation when you have 15 other people you're trying to relate to.
Yeah.
They're all younger, except for Rockstar at the time.
Yeah.
Well, she's younger than I am. But it just feels funny that I was the old man of the season. Yeah. And at the time I was 40 years old. So it was just, I legit, when I was meeting all the other guests, I was legit saying, who's the old person? I was waiting for an older guy to come in so I could try to relate to him. So, and tag, you're it. I was like, oh, that's not good. That's any season I've ever seen that doesn't seem to work out well, except for Kevin in 19 at that time. Kevin, made good friends with Paul, lasted to the end, well, almost the end. But, I mean, it was just one of those things where it was just wild. So, I mean, you could ask me whatever you want. I'll answer whatever you want. I'm like an open book, brother. When you contacted me and you told me, you're not law enforcement, you're firefighter.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll do anything for a first responder. I'll do anything to help out. So that's why I'm here, bro. I'm an open book, whatever you need.
Well, we appreciate that. And we, of course, the firemen and the cops jokes go back and forth. You just didn't pass the firefighter's exam. So
well, I'm not good looking enough to be a firefighter, right? Isn't that what you're going to do? I mean, you guys have your calendars. You guys get your free stay. Take pictures of all the pretty people. While I'm writing tickets, you're kissing babies. I mean, everybody loves a firefighter. It's all good.
Pulling people out of burning buildings. Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
No, I'm just playing. I know that. Listen.
Oh, yeah. I know you are.
I'm scared to death of fires. I'm scared to death.
You guys get the free coffee and donuts.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe.
This is part of the story.
Ouch.
I'm on duty. No, wait. You got to hear this, Steve. I'm on duty, and I think we were like I don't know, it was either Long John Silver's or so. It was just a fast food joint. And I'm on duty. I'm in the ambulance and I don't ask for a discount or anything. You're not supposed to. And I wouldn't anyhow. And so as the lady's ringing me up, she gives me 50% off. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. And then she looks up and she goes, oh, wait a minute. You're not a cop.
Yeah.
Oh, that stings.
Ouch. Ouch. Wow.
Yeah, that stings. I was like, well, thanks.
Listen, firefighters, they got a tough job. God bless them. And God bless you for your service and anybody else who does that job. I'm scared to death of fires. I don't like electricity. And I'm not one to climb up trees to get cats. So I'll be down to directing traffic. You can do all the hero stuff. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm just
you all are the true first responders, so you show up and make the scene safe for us. So no,
yeah. But everybody, all the kids want pictures with you guys, so it's all good. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're right in a lot of things. Yeah. No, I remember here recently, it's been difficult to get a police officer, and I'm not on duty anymore. But one of the last times we had to call for PD, we had a Uber driver had a guy in the back of his car just freaking the hell out. He was tripping, and he had called his brother or something. They were in his parking lot. They're in the back seat, locked in the Uber car, beating the hell out of each other. And so we're trying to open the door to find out what's going on because they said they needed an ambulance. And so then we get drugged into the melee. It's I keyed up the radio, real calm, said dispatch, engine 42, we need PD, expedite.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, now we're really fighting. And so I just keyed up the radio and I said, dispatch engine 42, advise PD, they're missing one hell of a fight. I swear to God, there was helicopters with people rappelling out.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm there.
Yeah, usually when you say fight, it's like they're.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Now, listen, God, like I said, God bless. In the city, my rookie year, I never realized what EMS or the firefighters actually go through. And we got a call of an EDP, emotionally disturbed person. I was a rookie cop, and it was crazy. The mom had called. The son was 35 years old. He was off his medication, paranoid schizophrenic, bipolar. I mean, you name it. And I'm not a doctor, but EMS comes to the scene, and this guy all of a sudden turns around, punches one of the EMS firefighters, and then it's on. Yeah. So there's me and my partner, 2 EMS firefighters from Fidney, and legitimately we brawled with this guy from his bedroom to his parents' bedroom to the kitchen, back to the living room, and ended off in the bathroom. And I've never been more exhausted in my life. But those Fidney guys and girl, there was a Fidney guy and there was a Fidney female, and they took it to him. Like, they did what they had to do. We got him in cuffs and we got him transported to the hospital, and it is what it is. But they held their own. I mean, lots of respect to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to, or get killed or pummeled to death.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So whatever you guys do.
I got out of it in January 21. I was attacked by a pit bull on duty, and so I'm medically unfit to do the job. So so they say. My brain still works though, but so I haven't been on the job in a while, and so now I'm just going to do this for. Okay.
I retired in 2012. I've been collecting my pension and doing this college thing, and it's amazing. absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I can say that it's tough going in, but when you retire and you get that check the first of the month, it's a thing of beauty. So,
Yeah. My grandmother was and grandparents both, they worked for the federal government, and that's what they told me. They said, you need to get a job with the government. You need to get a job with the government. That's where to go. That's what to do. So it sounds like you had a similar story there. So
yeah. You need security. Kids need to be fed. It is what it is, and that's the reason. That is really the main reason why I even gave Big Brother a shot, was because you say you put 500,000 in front of me.
Yeah.
And you tell me that I got a 1 in 16 chance to try to get it, and then you clear the room and you line all 116 up, then those are pretty good odds.
Yeah.
That's so, it is what it is. It's not supposed to be a really physical game, and it's not, but you never realize how socially awkward you may be until you're in a house with like people of all different ages that are very smart, very cagey, know what they're doing, know this game, know how to play it. And like I was honestly winging it from day 1 till day 7 when I got kicked out. So so it was almost like a cameo. It wasn't even like I was a house. It was like a cameo. Thanks a lot.
Good seeing you.
You get paid for the weeks that you're there. So
that's what I was going to ask you about, because Glenn and I has been back and forth about this. I read up that it's like $1,000 a week. He says that it's $1,000 a day. Which one of us is right?
Okay, so it's $1,000 a week.
That's what I was thinking.
And it's $1,000 a week the minute you go into the hotel to when you go into the room until you're on the plane on the way home.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And you don't get your money until
the
after
show
the
is
finale.
over.
After the finale.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why everybody goes to the finale, because you got to catch your check.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's a good way. That's a good bit of extortion.
Well, it's a guarantee that you're gonna get to LA. I mean, they fly you
You
out.
better be here.
True.
They treat you right. They do. They treat you right. They fly you out.
I've applied for that show probably 10 times, 10 years.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, they're never gonna pick me.
Well, you know what? And this is the best way I can put it, because I became really good. Honestly, swear to God, I became really good friends with a lot of people from the show. So, Scotty and I are still hanging out, still talking, still texting. That's my homie. I love that kid. He's a good kid from good stock, loyal to the bone, and just a good all around guy. Brett, Winston, still talk to them on a regular, texting.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah, good guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know the bros or whatever voted against me, but it ain't personal.
Right, it's a game. It's a game.
Yeah. I didn't care. But like I can say this, that show looked for archetypes. So you might not fit an archetype now, but you might in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you think they would let a ventriloquist on with the doll and everything?
They would not let the doll on. But listen, the quirkier you are, the more appealing you may be. So
true.
They want people that I'm straight up. I'm not the best looking guy. I have a very unique look. I'm half Italian. I'm half Chamorro. My mother was from Saipan. My dad's from Paterson, New Jersey. He's an Italian from Paterson. I have this unique look. I'm big. I'm physical. But I also have a clean background. That's one big thing. You cannot go into that house. You're going to have to pass their battery of psychological exams. The background investigation is deep. It goes deep.
Oh.
Like,
does it get stuff that's been closed?
Well, they're gonna ask about it, but that's not a disqualifier.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you're gonna get a packet, and that packet's gonna be about 75 pages, and they hire two private investigators out of LA that are contracted by CBS. And they're gonna both contact you, and you're gonna have to explain. At the time I was 40. I was living a life. I got a mortgage. Maybe 1 month when I was a cop, I was behind on a credit card or whatever. They ask, like, why were you? Yeah, like they're gonna want to know. Like, have you ever been sued? I was a cop. I got sued. That happened, especially in New York City. You're going to get sued a lot if you're an active officer. So, yeah, I did. You know, did you ever have a civilian complaint? Yeah, I did.
Of course.
You know, welcome to the world of, you know, arresting people. They don't like that. So
Right.
they're going to file complaints against you. That's kind of what happens.
Squirming.
Yeah.
So, but it's deep. But once you go through it, what this is the craziest part, and not a lot of people know this, and I've never heard any other Big Brother contestant ever talk about it, but I thought this was like really weird. So one of the time, like the first time I went to LA, you're in a hotel and they have to get you medically evaluated, right? So they got to know about you. They got to take a blood test or whatever to make sure you're not carrying diseases that are possibly, you know, communicable. So all of a sudden, like, there was a knock at the door. I open up the door, and the guy goes, "Oh, we have to go to the 5th floor." And I'm like, "All right, let's go to the 5th floor." So you go to the 5th floor, and in this room is a doctor. And in that room is like a bed that's laid out. And it just felt so weird to me. Like, dude, what is going on, man? I don't know what this is about. I don't even know who this guy is. And he's telling me to take my clothes. I'm like, what? Like, listen, I don't want to be on that bad. 500,000 ain't worth it for me. No.
That was the first challenge.
Yeah.
I failed miserably.
Don't take the probing.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but that was one of the weird things, and you know, it's cool. It's cool. It's one of those things that at least I can say I did, even if I failed miserably at it. I don't care. It was fun. And I'll be honest with you, like I get to meet great and interesting people and talk to people about it. And I would have never met any of you unless I took the chance and did it. So yeah, I consider myself lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sure, it brings a lot of different people into your life, and that's
not all good.
Experience. Not all good, but
no. Like you four, solid, good. Some people, like when I left the show, there was a lot of hate sent my way, and I couldn't believe it. Like,
I don't understand that.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
maybe because I was going against one of their faves. Maybe in their mind they thought I was.
Who knows? That's a weird world. Like as far as the deeper you're into the Big Brother world, and especially from the fans, it gets weird. It gets really weird.
Yeah. No, but most of the fans, the majority of the fans. The passionate fans are honestly good people. They are like, I would say the 20% that are insane are completely offset by the 80% that are like mad cool, mad chill. And they know it's a game. They know if you lie in there, it's a lie. You know, it's not, you know, people think that that's your like personality set. Like they think that Tyler is so manipulative. Like how in the world could he survive outside of the house? Tyler's a cool guy, man. He's a great kid. Well, I call him a kid. He's a young man, but whatever. I didn't really disrespect Tyler, but I mean, he's just happens to be one of the best to ever play the game. I mean, the guy just knows. And I put Tyler, and this is debatable, but I put Tyler up in Dr. Will territory. I really do. Because he was smooth operator, no matter what. Didn't flinch, friendly with everybody, didn't throw shade, didn't throw hate, acted like a good guy outside of the house, you know, and it's not the public purview. Like I've had my own personal conversations with Tyler and he's just mad chill. Like, so it's one of those things where you really have to put on a super act when you go in there in order to try to survive it. And if you're able to survive it, you're probably not going to be maybe the same. I mean, you got to decompress afterwards for a long time. And the longer you're in, the crazier it is. But Scotty, like Scotty was in for a long time. He was in, he went to juror house, came back out, jumped back in. There's a lot of decompression afterwards. Like, because all of a sudden, you know, you're home, but now you think that you're still on camera. It's crazy.
Oh, that would be creepy. Yeah.
I mean, there's people that watch 24/7 the live feed. Like that I didn't know that when I first went on. Like, dude, seriously? Like, I gotta change. And then they teach you, like Tyler and Scotty both taught me before the cameras came on live feed, that the way to change is you put blanket over you, you change, and then you pop yourself out.
Huh.
But
Like,
they don't really show that stuff on the live feeds too much, do they? Glenn, you
well,
probably watched it more than I did last year. I didn't
they
see
show
that
us,
much.
they show us sleeping. They do show that, and if somebody
Yeah.
gets up and walks around, they start to focus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
So,
changing and stuff now they did in the bathroom though. They'll show the bathroom a whole lot more. But there's a wall there, a door.
right. Well, you got the bathroom when you're doing the shower. The
Yeah.
cameras can catch you
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah.
But in the toilet, there's a camera staring at you too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew about
that's
that.
weird.
It's not on the live feed.
It's not on the live feeds.
Yeah.
You have to do it in case somebody gets attacked in there.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Or somebody
what I mean?
pass out or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody needs medical
Yeah.
attention. That's when
Yeah. And it's
Yeah, that-
understandable on that too.
yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
hard to get used to, having a camera on you 24/7.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah. And the problem with being older than everybody else too is I wake up earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
I naturally want to get up and go to work or do whatever. I'm not, when I was 19, 21, 23, well, actually I was married already, but when I was like 19, I wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
If you let me sleep till 11, I was going to sleep till 11, but
Yeah.
nobody else in that house woke up early. So I legitimately was sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee alone, just staring at a camera. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, hello. Love you, my wife. I love my kids. And I don't know. Go look at something else. If you're looking at me drinking coffee in the morning, I got to think, like, why are you looking at me drinking coffee?
Right.
Get your own coffee, man. And then
Yeah.
we'll sit down and talk. But no, it was cool, though. It was cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. But it's $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
Take the money and run. And it sounds like you had a great time with it too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, once I had people tell me if you only did this or if you only did that, you would have lasted longer.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I don't. And that's
Yeah.
the funny thing is, like, dude, I went in, I played how I played. I'm not, I'm out of shape or whatever. I didn't pretend to be this listen, when I went in there and we had that day where we all had to take pictures, and then
Yeah.
like you see Tyler and Brett and Winston and Fess and Swag and Scotty all take off their shirts and they're all shredded and chiseled and Fess is huge. Then at that point it's a joke. Like, I'm gonna take my shirt off and just show you how fat my gut is. I could care less. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not gonna compete with these guys physically. Like, Fess was a All-American tight end. I mean, legit phenom athletic. Swaggy was a Division I basketball player. Scotty is more athletic than you probably would guess. Super athletic. Brett, strong as an ox. JC, strong as an ox. And then there's Steve. Like, it was like muscle athlete. And then there's this guy. This guy right here. We needed somebody. We put him in. This is the guy we found. That's almost how it felt.
Well,
But it was cool.
They could have picked me.
Yeah, they said a picture. It takes you, Bobby. I passed. Dude, go in there, knock yourself out. Do your best. You never know. Like, let's put it this way: if one of you guys ever got the shot and went in, like, I would never have guessed that I would have teamed up with the archetype that was supposed to be the nerd. Like, Scotty was supposed to be that geek. That was the archetype. Like, I was the old man that was out of shape. Scotty was the geek. Brett and Winston really were like the heartthrobs. Fess was the super athlete. Swaggy was super athletic. So you got all these archetypes. I feel JC was athletic and different. So like, you had all
like
these,
JC.
Yeah. So you got all these super archetypes, and you never know like who you're going to bond with. It's one of those weird things. And then even though you bond with them, they might be voting you out tomorrow because they formulated a bond and now they got to have that security. They got to have that security and they don't want to go against it. Like, they say loyalty will kill you in that game. Not in the beginning, it won't. disloyalty will harm the entire team, and then you get picked off one at a time. And then my season, I'm so happy to say it, that I happen to be, I guess, on the side of the people that just kept screwing up over and over and over. I mean, you had Fess vote out Scott. They were on the same team. And he votes him out. You know, you had Caitlin turn on me. We're supposed to be on the same team. I mean, it's almost like two football players going, two football teams going at, and all of a sudden the offensive tackle turns around and sacks his own quarterback. Like, what are you doing? The hell just happened? But yeah, no, it's all good. It was fun.
Do you still watch the show?
Honestly, season 21, I turned on and I was watching it, and then I'm not good with social media. I'm not good with all that. Like, I never had an Instagram account, like the gram. I never had that.
I understand that.
So I tried to keep up with it. I've got, luckily, but unfortunately for that, I have like 200 students a semester. So my attention has to go to teaching. It has to go to making sure my lesson plans are on par. I have grading I have to do. And then my students, wonderful kids, not kids, young adults. I don't want to disrespect any student I ever have, because I have them from the age of 40 down to 17. I've had a 45-year-old in my class. They're there to learn. I mean, they really want to learn. None of them seem to be forced that they're there. And it's a community college. So I don't have those students that, stay in dorms or whatnot. Most of my students work two jobs, trying to pay off college, trying to better themselves. So they're eager, they're young, not all young, but they're young in regards to academia, and they're hungry. So when you teach them and you teach them right, they eat it, they feed on it, and they can continue to grow as better individuals, better adults. So it's a wonderful profession. I can say that wholeheartedly. Like, I am blessed to be where I'm at, and I'm blessed to know the people I know, and only by the grace of God do I go, or anybody goes. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I can say about that.
Did you play any sports coming up?
Yeah. So I was a wrestler and a football. Right. So I was a wrestler in high school. I took third in the state my senior year. I was a region champ in New Jersey. I was a two-time district champ in New Jersey. I held the record for pins in my high school. I didn't start playing football until I was a junior in high school. And then I was scouted because I had size, I was fast or whatever. Yes, so I played college football at Northeastern University. I was offered a full scholarship, went to Northeastern in Boston. At that time, it was 1AA. Now it's called FBS. You guys know that. Northeastern doesn't even have a team anymore, but we were Atlantic 10. We were Yankee Conference and Atlantic 10. So in our conference, we had William and Mary, Richmond, Maine, Yukon, New Hampshire, Boston University at that time had a team. Yeah, so I played 5 years. I redshirted my first year at the school, and then I started all 4 years. So I went as a linebacker. Started as a fullback my redshirt freshman year, started as a fullback my sophomore year, started as a fullback tight end my junior year, and then my senior year I was a D tackle D end. So yeah, I was voted captain year. So
you still follow college ball?
No. No. Kind of like when I did it, I didn't turn my back. Listen, I still do watch some college football. I do. My grad school, University of Cincinnati. I love the Bearcats. Go Cats. Yeah. But it's gotten so different. The game is so different than in the 90s when I played. That I don't know. I mean, I think that the athletes and the NIL deals that are going on and the transfer windows and the transfer options, I think that is a double-edged sword. And that's just my opinion. It used to be in the 90s, and maybe not necessarily fair. But it used to be in the 90s when you signed a scholarship to go to a school. Listen, I signed one scholarship, and that was the first year I was there, was automatically renewed as long as there was no issues. And my school was great. My head coach was Barry Gallup. He ended up being the assistant athletic director at Boston College. He was also the man that recruited Doug Flutie to Boston College back in the day. Barry Gallup is a somebody, and he was my head coach at Northeastern. One of the reasons why I went to Northeastern. And you know, he was a man of honor. So we had several people that came there on scholarship that ended up having like health issues. Maybe one of them had a bad heart. I believe he had a bad heart. I'm not going to say his name, but Barry Gallup let him. All he had to do was drive the van back and forth to the stadium, and he kept his scholarship. That, you know, there was no questions.
That's nice.
That's a man of honor, and you know, you got to respect that. But the NIL deals and the transfer windows, you know, I get it. It's a really good thing for athletes. You know, you go to a college, you go to Wisconsin, you go to Penn State, you go to these big time schools, USC, and you're top dog in your own level. But when you go there, you got 5 other people that were just top dogs at their states. So you might not be playing ever. If another freshman came in at the same time you did, it put you in a bad situation. Yeah, I do believe that maybe a transfer would be appropriate. But I don't like the minute they started mentioning NIL money and, you know, like, what are we doing here? Like, what? It's not even the same like realm of what I'm used to. And God bless everybody that can make their money. They can make millions and millions of dollars through NIL deals, and that's what they're going to do. Then God bless you. That's why you go to college, so you can earn money and you can earn more money, and God bless you for doing it. But if we're talking about athletics in college institutions and universities, my only question is this, and I'm coming at it from an academic point of view. I have students, graduation rates for me are important. I want all of my students to graduate. No man or woman left behind, or whoever, how they identify, whatever, left behind. That's the way I view it. My question is this: with the transfer windows and people transferring back and forth, and you have 7-8 year players because of the COVID pandemic, and they were able to suspend that season, and you got an extra year of eligibility. What is the graduation rates? That's my question, because I know by transferring from one school to another that many of your credits might not transfer into a particular program. So now all of a sudden, what, you're 12 credits, 13 credits shy of getting your bachelor's degree. You can't graduate because you made the I would love to see the research that showcases what's going to happen with that.
That's a good point.
Jalen Hurts graduated before he transferred, so there might be a lot of that.
You know, and I have a good friend of my partner in organized crime in OSID on Team 5. His son is a hell of a tight end who just graduated from Cornell, but he has another year of eligibility, so he's transferring. You know, I get it. Like, there's people that graduated. Samari Roll graduated in 3 years and ended up going to grad school while he was doing his last 2 and decided to become a doctor. You know, instead of an NFL football player, he went into the draft. There are those outliers. And many of them are phenomenal students. But there are also many, Andy Katzenmoyer, greatest example I can name. Phenomenal football player, The Ohio State, starts as a true freshman, leaves for the draft his junior year, leaves with some crazy number like 40 credits. That's all he had for 3 years of college. So, but listen, he was you know, if you watch the 90s and he was a first team All-American 3 times over at The Ohio State, one as a true freshman, one as a true sophomore, one as a junior, and then bounced to the draft where he was drafted and summarily everybody in the NFL is as big and as strong as you are. So, and most of them are really, really fast. So he ended up getting lost in the sauce, but he did his thing. I question the graduation rates as a whole. If it was 96% prior, I would love to see the study that shows me that it stayed the same or maybe got better. But if there's a dip there, then they really have to start to reevaluate what's truly important. Now, we all know money is important. We get that.
Sure.
But what's truly important when we're talking about young student athletes? Think about that. Let's put that in the mind. How many college student athletes will never play NFL?
Yeah.
Most.
So we got to
It's
hope.
like 0.5%.
Yeah, I mean, not even. I think it's like 1.2% or something along those crazy lines. I read somewhere it was 1 out of 22,000 high school athletes play college. And then 1.2% of the college plays in the NFL or plays pro in a different league. Obviously, it changes depending on the sport, but those that don't, the 98.8% that don't, we can't have them. All right, you did 5 years, you have 40 college credits, get out. Now what does that mean? I mean, you know what I'm saying. I'm obviously
it's a real example. It's a real
right. So I'm just saying, how do we work on that? How do we get better with that? And I don't know. Like I said, I'm not smart enough to figure out that answer. I'm really not. But I'm smart enough to at least ask that question. Like, listen, what are we supposed to be doing here? Colleges are supposed to be teaching people and giving them the skills to earn a profession, to earn a better living. That's really it. You want to become a nurse, you got to go to college. You want to be a doctor, got to go to college. You want to be a lawyer, got to go to college. You want to be a police officer, you need 60 college credits in a lot of places. You got to go to college, and rightfully so. But you want to earn millions in the NFL? We have a 1.2% chance out of the 22,001 that you actually got there. And if you don't, what else are you going to do? You're going to college for a reason, to be able to have it as a stepping stone to do something better with your life. So, I just would love to see the research on that. They're not doing it. I've looked for it, and I can't find it. So I would love to see or talk to the academics that are maybe pursuing.
There may be a reason you can't find it. I bet the numbers are there, but they're probably not.
Yeah, I don't think the NC2A is going to be too published. If it's lower, well, you can put it this way, Bobby. If it's high, the NCAA will push it forward and say,
"Yeah, you would know." Yeah. It's kind of like,
right?
Yeah, it's obvious what it is. I mean, nobody likes college football here more than I do, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not what you're saying.
Yeah, I just I playing college football, I had the best time. I played with the best guys. A couple of my guys I played with, I was lucky enough to play with, played NFL. David Klemick, Jerome Daniels. My gosh, Andre Dixon. I mean, they're not marquee names, but Dave Klemick is one of the fastest people to ever play in the NFL. You can look him up. We both went into Northeastern together as rookie freshmen. But and they all graduated, so they all have their degrees. So if it didn't work out for them, or when they retired from the league or playing football, they all were able to go into their own particular avenues of employment and expertise. But I did play with a bunch of people who didn't graduate, and I don't know whatever happened to them. I hope, God willing, they found their way, maybe made their way back, maybe got a degree in doing something else. But, being a teacher now, a professor now, and looking at my students now, I all I want them to do is have better lives. And that's what I try to put into their heads. Listen, this degree is not a promise. It is a key. That's all it is. It is a key to get into a door, into a room that not everybody's allowed in. And once you're in that room, you have to separate yourself from everybody else that has that same degree, and that's going to be success. But you need it to get in the room. You need it to get that opportunity. So, that's about it, man. I'm sorry, I just had I'm wired.
Are most of your students going into law enforcement, or are they going to be law, or is it just
okay? So we have a mixture. So I have those students that are diehard. I want to be a cop. I want to be an FBI agent. I want to X, Y, and Z. I want to go into the federal government. I want to work at the Westchester County PD. Or NYPD. I have a few of them. I want to be NYPD. That's all I want to be. Yeah, I have those, and they're phenomenal students. They're working hard. I try to relay to them that I want all my students to understand, if you're going into law enforcement, that it is not all roses and rainbows and unicorns. There's a lot of stressors that people don't seem to understand or maybe ignore. They don't want to ignore. It's never going to happen to me. and do that. And if it doesn't happen to you, God bless, good for you. But the majority of people that are going to go into that profession are going to experience terrible things that your training is not going to make you ready for. I mean, there's things in my mind, images and pictures that we all have seen as first responders that are seared in our brain, and we'll never get them out. And there's no amount of training that could have prepared these students for it. Maybe a college professor saying it in class could have got them thinking about it before it happened. But and then I have pre-law. I have some of the smartest students I've ever seen. Smart, like big time smart. And they're going to community college because maybe they just didn't excel well in high school, or they went through their phase in high school, but now they're here. And I have students that have actually been incarcerated and that were released and have now come into the criminal justice program. Can they be law enforcement? No. But can they go to law school? Absolutely. 100%. My law school class had 3 convicted felons that were released and admitted, who happen to be very, very, very effective lawyers. Very effective.
They know the backside of the system.
Yeah. And cool as a cucumber, like smart as a whip, cool, and can rock it academically with anybody else, but also exceedingly down to earth and very, very good in front of juries. Very, very good when they're talking to, cross examiner or direct examiner. Just smooth. So
that's cool. I mean, you wouldn't think about it, but what was the story of the guy that was known for the multiple not personalities, identifications? He wrote checks all the time, and that's what he finally got caught on. I can't Catch Me If You Can was the movie they made.
Yeah. Frank Abagnale.
Yes. Yeah. And now he's one of the leading experts in banking fraud.
Yeah. He gets paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars from the big banks to showcase how are we able to prevent this from happening. Listen, our government, recruits hackers. And they legitimately recruit hackers that might have done something or got screwed up, and maybe they have time holding over their head because they're really, really good at what they do. And our law enforcement agencies can learn from that. Narcotics detectives, we use CIs. I never smoked crack. I have no idea what it's like. But I need, as a narcotics detective, heroin. I never shot heroin up. I never sniffed it. I never did anything with it. So how am I supposed to stop it? We use confidential informants, CIs, people that have been arrested before, people that have records, and we use them to secure search warrants in order to try to prevent that from happening. So government does that, and the law. There you go. Law believes in second chances. You've done your time. You've paid your time. You paid your penance to society, and you're smart enough to do this job. They'll do your background. They'll watch you a little bit, and as long as you don't do anything nefarious, there's a lot of people that have never been arrested that I wouldn't trust. There's a lot of people that were arrested that I would. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I know I'm talking your ears off. I
no. Well, and then we're gonna ask one question we ask every guest is: do you have any paranormal, Bigfoot, anything that goes bump in the night experiences?
Okay, so no, personally, I don't. But I'm, this is the part where I tell my students this, and they kind of laugh at me, but it's kind of true at the same time. I'm a very scientifically based person. I believe in evidence. I believe in scientific evidence most of the time if it can be captured. But I'm also willing to believe, and I do completely understand that there are certain things that science cannot explain. And if we utilize the scientific method to try to explain everything, there's going to be a lot we're missing. So, in regards to the Sasquatch, in regards to Bigfoot, the Alma Stay, the abominable snowman, it's just very interesting to me, and I've said this to my students, that we're talking about civilizations that were separated by seas that never met each other.
Yeah.
3,000 years ago, all drawing very similar things on the wall.
Exact same thing.
And so there's got to be something. Hey, listen, and I said this too, 1810, explorers in Africa came back to England and said there's these hairy people that are exceedingly strong and can take down trees, but nobody believed them and everybody thought they were crazy. And then guess what? In 1870 to 1880, they discovered, wow, there's things called land gorillas. Nobody knew they existed. Everybody thought they were. So for us to actually sit there and believe, how many Bigfoot sightings, Sasquatch sightings happen yearly? And I don't even know that number.
Thousands.
Yeah,
so
a lot.
We have to believe three things as a society. Three things. Number one, either they're all liars. Number two, they're all mistaken. Or number three, they're telling the truth about what they saw. So those are the only three options. There are no other options if we want to be finite about this. They're all liars. They never met each other. Most of them have nothing to gain by lying.
Some of them don't even want to know. Don't even want you to know who they are.
Exactly, because they don't want to be labeled crazy.
Yeah.
So they have nothing to gain. They have no stake in the game. They're not going to be rich by doing this. Do I believe that there's some people that would hoax it? Absolutely. Listen, human nature, want to be popular, want to be cool. They hoax it. They create a hoax or do whatever the case may be. But, there's something about the evidence that's there. And if you're evidence-based, well, let's talk about the evidence. Dr. Meldrum from the Idaho State University, which, by the way, he had a stroke in July. Hope he's okay. God, I hope he's fine. But we're talking about a doctor, a leading anthropologist, an expert, who's written books about Sasquatch and who's examined their footprints, who actually knows that human beings cannot even come close to creating this footprint, and the difference between a gorilla or a primate footprint and a Homo sapien footprint. And, you're talking about a guy whose entire life has been based on scientific knowledge. And I don't believe he went crazy in 2005. I believe that he's going to where the science is leading him to. People are very quick to write off certain things that don't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Giants, right? That's another crazy thing. It was, giants ever existed. Well, really? Well, let's look at the Aleutian Islands. The leader of the Smithsonian Institute is digging in the Aleutian Islands, and 3 years prior, he makes the claim that giants couldn't have existed because it doesn't fit on the evolutionary scale. Then all of a sudden, they find a giant head, a skull of a person that is believed to be huge on the Aleutian Island. I forget which island. And then all of a sudden, it's logged. It's documented. It's put into the Smithsonian Institute. And guess what? It disappears. Nobody's looked at it. There's been no studies of it. My mother's islands. We had a chieftain called Chief Taga. He was born in Guam to the Magalahi, who's the king. He goes to Tinian and Rhoda. He's supposed to have been rumored to be 9 feet to 10 feet tall. And everybody says that's an exaggeration, that's crazy, whatever the case may be. And that's easy to say, but on the same token, there's written scripture from Spanish generals and Spanish armadas back in the 1500s that actually saw Chief Taga and listed him as 3 meters tall. Now, if you know what meters are, that's 9 feet. So are they lying? I mean, you know what I mean? So either, like I said, there's three things with Bigfoot, three things with ghosts. Either they're all liars, either they're all mistaken, or they're telling the truth. And what do you believe? So I'm an academic. I do not study. This is not my level of expertise, my area of expertise. I'm a policy wonk. That's what I am. But I believe that I'm not smart enough to make a decision or determination of whether something exists or not when thousands of people say that they've seen it. And let's just say 2% are telling the truth. Let's use the bare minimal number. 2% are telling the truth.
Yeah.
So that's 2% out of thousands. So that we're talking thousands of people that have actually seen something, said something, and now they're labeled as quote unquote crazy, mistaken, whatever the case may be. I think that's wrong to write people off that way.
And if one of them's real, they're all real. That's the thing.
That's the truth. And listen, ghosts, I mean, there's a lot of evidence, photographic evidence. Like, there's nothing else I could say about it. There's photographic evidence of apparitions, of poltergeists, of not in the night, if you will. You're telling me that all of that has to be discounted. I don't buy that. I don't. We're willing to take, and Glenn, you could back me up on the stand, we're willing to take somebody's word for it when they swear on the Bible, correct? You swear on the Bible, you don't want to perjure yourself, you're on the stand, we're questioning you, you're an eyewitness, you're a victim in a case, and all of a sudden you point to the person that did it to you. It's the defendant right there. They're wearing a green shirt, whatever the case may be that day in court. That's what that person who attacked me. And we believe them. Even if there's no camera footage, we believe them. Mm-hmm. If that same person came to a camera and said, listen, I just saw a 10-foot gigantic thing. I don't even know what it is. And it's got hair on it and it ran that way. And there's footprints. We're so quick as a society to go, you're crazy. You're nuts. You're insane.
Haven't I said that exact same thing before? Like the same word in court?
I believe I've heard you say that on one of your podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's pretty accurate.
It's kind of one of those conundrums that everybody comes to the conclusion it all meets. Like, well, how come this is good, but like Kato Caitlin's okay, but you can't say you saw Bigfoot?
Yeah, I know. I don't even know. Like I said, somebody's going to have to explain that first set of examples to me. How all those different societies, all those different tribes that never met each other, that never cross-pollinated and had children with each other, never even saw each other. And we're talking about the Alma-Stay in Russia, or the Sasquatch in Canada, the Alouettes in Canada, or you have the Native Americans in Washington, in Oregon. They never spoke to the Russian tribes. They didn't no idea that there was an Alma-Stay, but how come they're exactly identical in the cave paintings? Unless somebody traveled the entire world at that time, ran around to all the caves and do the same damn thing. But basically what we're talking about are civilizations that have seen something, drew it. They tried to document it in the way that they knew how to, as evidence for the future, only to have the people that are so smart in the future write it off as whatever. Demons, dreams, gods, whatever you want to say, they tried to write it off as they do. So, like,
why do you think the government hides a lot of this stuff? Because, like you said, the skull.
Okay, so the skull is being hidden by the Smithsonian. So that's technically its own. It's an NGO, a non-governmental agency. So NGO. I think science is quick to hide or disclose or shun something that doesn't fit the narrative that everybody is going with. I mean, if I went to college, I did. And if I went to grad school, and I did. And I learned from the same professors, and I did. And they were experts in their field, correctional, penology, so on and so forth. And I learned in grad school that correctional boot camps are not appropriate ways to try to rehabilitate or restore offenders. It actually creates a recidivism rate that's a lot higher than somebody who does another program. So it's called correctional quackery. And it's Dr. Edward Latessa from the University of Cincinnati that is the expert in this field. And I believe him. I've seen the data that showcases it, right? So if you came around now and told me that he's wrong and there was some kind of evidence that showcased that it actually is better, I'm going to be fighting against really my mentor, somebody I believe in, somebody I've drawn my lesson plans around, somebody who's written books about it, who's well respected. So we are quick to say, as academics, we're quick to say, listen, that's crazy. There's already been evidence. It's already been proven. It doesn't work. And we're easily able to do that, when in fact, we should be a lot more open-minded to possibilities of things that maybe we're not as smart as we think we are.
Yeah.
Maybe the research that we've read, I don't know. You guys all went to high school when I did. I think you're about the same age range as I did. I remember going to high school and remembering that there's 9 planets, right? Pluto was the last planet.
Yeah.
And then my daughters go to high school and they're there telling me there's only 8 planets and that Pluto's a dwarf planet, right? So I was never told that. The scientists never told me that. My astronomy teacher never taught me that.
Yep.
So things do change, but in the world of academia, they change glacially. They slow to change. So I think the more people come out and are steadfast in their beliefs of what they saw or what they've experienced, then I think that the scientific community is going to have to pay attention. They're going to have to take a look and stop this pervasive, disgusting way of ixnaying anything that goes against the current trends of literature. Because
look at Graham Hancock with his pre-Clovis stuff. They're just trying to crucify him, and he just keeps coming up with more shit.
And it's unbelievable. And he's 100% right. What is that called? Tepe? What was the name of the town?
Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe. Okay, yeah. I mean, we're talking about. There's evidence. Here it is. It's in your face. I don't know what else I can do to show you this. And the academics are like, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
They're able to do that. Just wipe it off the board. You're wrong. You're an actor.
Right. He was on Rogan. He doesn't count.
Right. So, I mean,
him and Randall Carlson. I love that whenever I stop everything when Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock's on there.
So, listen, that's my belief. I'm not lucky enough to have experienced anything of that personally. I don't want to experience spirits. Listen, I don't need a poltergeist coming in my house throwing things around for me to believe. I get you. Stay out of my house. I'm good with that, man. I don't need that shit in my life. Excuse my language. I don't need that in my life.
You're fine.
But I think it's cool. I remember watching Ghost Hunters when they first came out. Tabs. I remember they were Roto-Rooter, and all of a sudden they switched and they were chasing ghosts. And I remember half of my friends were like, "Look at this nonsense," and I was like, "Yeah, look at it's cool as hell." I mean, it's nothing cool. These dudes are following their dream. Their dream is to go around and investigate. That's badass. And we're hating on that. What would you rather do? Plumbing the rest of their life? They don't enjoy it. It's obvious they're not enjoying that. So let them do their own thing. And if they can find evidence that showcases it might be real, and they found a number of evidence. But there are certain things that I think is really just a money grab in regards to paranormal. And that is the devices. I'm sorry. Yep. The spirit box, I think, is garbage. Garbage. Absolute, unadulterated garbage that I can put on thing and it runs through radio frequencies, and if a word comes out, it means something. Nonsense to me. Absolute, utter nonsense. And you might as well take $400, wipe your ass, and throw it out the window when you're driving. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel.
That's a cheap one.
Well, I don't even know. I would never buy it. I'd say $400 is a lot to me. So that's, but I do believe that there's a possibility that you can catch things with infrared, FLIR. I think there's definitely, I believe in EVPs. I think that a lot of that's accurate. All you need is a good voice recorder and a camera, and you do your own investigations. But the minute you start with, and there's one other thing, I don't even know what it's called, but I will shut I love paranormal caught on tape. I love all of it. But there's something, I don't even know what it's called. You guys would know.
It's called a REM pod.
Yeah. Is it the thing where the stick figure? Did you ever see that?
Yeah. Oh, SLS.
Yeah, SLS. That's the newest thing.
No, not to me, Glenn. It's not garbage.
I downloaded it. There's an app on my phone.
That's hilarious. Absolute garbage.
There's a stick man.
Garbage.
It's a stick figure walking.
He's a lamp.
He's right next to you.
And he's
on you. He's holding hands.
Oh yeah, he's holding your hands. Does your hand feel colder? No, it don't. Absolute garbage. They can take the spirit box and they can take that SLS and they can throw it out. I'm done with it. But I think there is something about electromagnetic frequencies. I do believe that there's something to that. And even if it's not paranormal, but it does affect people. And it makes people paranoid. It can get them sick. So, or it gets them thinking that they're hearing things that they're not hearing. So there's definitely something there. But like I said, SLS, I'm not a fan. I don't support it. I don't sponsor it. Nothing with it. And spirit boxes, listen, I guess you get a chance to make your money to kids that want to buy this thing and hear something. But dude, grab a recorder, put it in a room you think is haunted, leave it overnight, go back and review the tape. And if you catch an EVP, that's better than a spirit box.
The only merit a spirit box has with me is the Estes stuff, and that's very out there as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so
it has to be combined with something else because they can't just say like match and car.
Right. Yeah. Death. Oh, did you hear that? He said death.
Kill. Drown. Kill. Can't breathe.
He said kill. This must kill. Be an evil spirit. Yeah, come on, dude. Stop.
It's a demon.
Yeah. This must be an evil spirit. Demon.
It scratched me right here on the arm.
You know, it's funny that you guys are bringing that up and all that because my wife actually has written books about light workers, and she's published 4 times over.
I did not know that.
Yes. She's, this sounds a little nuts, but whatever. Paranormal.
Nothing sounds nuts.
No, but my wife is a clairvoyant psychic medium, and she's she's talked with before Ed and Lorraine Warren before passing. She spoken to Lorraine a number of times. But when my wife met Lorraine, Ed had already passed. So she was above a certain age. Loved cats. Lorraine Warren loved cats. She studied under Janet Nahovac, who also passed away from Lilydale. No, she is somebody in her field. So, a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about with you, I've had long discussions with her, and it's great that I have a partner that I can bounce ideas around because I'll go crazy. I'm one of those guys that overthinks everything.
You're
but SLS and spirit boxes, no go.
You'll have to come back and talk more about the paranormal side.
Get your wife on here, man.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, could we get your wife on the show?
Oh, well, I'll ask her if she wants to ever come on. It's up to her.
Be great.
She's her own woman. She'll blow your mind with certain things. She is amazing.
Surprised. Did you tell her you were on a paranormal show? And she
what
are you doing on that?
No, she's like, that's awesome. Have fun. Listen, my wife supports anything I want to do. I support anything she wants to do, and that's why we've been able to be married so long, and we have such a great relationship. That, like, honestly, we're opening up a shop now in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, for her, and we're in the midst right now of renovating and doing a lot of things to it, and it's been hectic, but it's been her dream. She loves old Victorian homes, and the shop is in an old Victorian home. Crystal healing beds, Reiki things of that nature. I've had to put it all together. It's all set up. It's a beautiful little shop. It's called Modern Sanctuary Spa. And it'll be in Pompton Lakes. It's going to be opening in the new year. We're still getting the licensing from the state and everything, but I mean, I would definitely talk to her. I'm sure she'd come on, blow your minds about half of the things that she knows and half of the things that she'll tell you that you think she doesn't know. But I'm uber proud of her. Love her to death, and she's my better half. And by the way, she is 4,000 times smarter than me and 4,000 times savvier than I am. So if Big Brother did give her a chance, it would be vicious. She is vicious. Where I am almost like that puppy dog, like, oh, let me help you. She would be, even though she loves animals, she'd be a pit bull. I mean, she'd be crazy. It would be wild. It was probably a good thing she didn't go on.
The safety of others.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, it'd be crazy.
With the house guests, do you know any of the newer ones, or I don't know, is there a social circle where you all talk? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know any of the newer ones because I haven't been paying attention to the text messages and the emails and so on and so forth. There's a group that all hang out, and we're all alumni. So if I'm talking to Scott's talking to somebody from another season, whatever the case may be, and then we just throw highs back to each other. Yeah. But every year in Vegas, they all go. I don't do that. I'm older. I'm not going to Vegas to party. Those days are gone in my book. I'd rather be on the golf course. I'm sorry, I would. I play golf like 3 times a week when the weather's good. I play amateur competitive. So, that's kind of where my love has been at. is that focusing on my golf game, getting my handicap down, and teaching and reading research and grading and teaching and then grading and then teaching and grading. So
it's never ending.
Pretty awesome, though.
Rinse and repeat. But
Yes.
it's also just a wonderful thing to be able to try to help guide the youth of today into being better adults tomorrow without indoctrinating them with anything of any of my biases. You know, I don't tell them how to vote. I don't push political agendas. That is not my job, and I think any professor that does it should stop. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that
Yes.
just leave that alone and let them, I don't want to say learn on their own, but you have to go and forge your own path.
you
Yeah.
absolutely
Because
I can teach you 50 different ways, but my conceptual lens is how I grew up, what I've seen, what I viewed, and I can't instill that upon you because your conceptual lens is yours. So it's almost like stealing your mind and trying to change it and mold it into something that I want. That's not fair. That's not good. And it just turns a bunch of people into little fakes running around. And while politicians might love that, I don't. I want free thinkers. I want people to challenge me. I love that. I want my students to ask me why. I want them to bring up another example. I want them to prove me wrong. And when I do that, then I know they're thinking and they're using critical thinking, and that's going to help them throughout their whole life.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's it, man.
That's
I talked
great.
your ears off. I am so sorry.
Nah, that's what we want.
No. That's we always encourage our guests. We want whether we talk about Bigfoot, Big Brother, sports, whatever it is.
From Bigfoot to Big Brother. I love it. Big Brother
Yeah.
back to Big
Title
Foot.
of the episode there.
I dig it, man. Yeah. From Big Brother to Bigfoot. I love it. Put it up.
I
Yeah.
think it's what I put from I forget the name of the episode, what I titled it. It was something about from the gridiron to behind the iron or something like that. Because you get locked in. So
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, listen, like I said, my cast was good kids, good young adults or whatever. They turned out to be great kids. I keep calling them kids. I apologize. There's no disrespect.
You're 37 years old.
exactly what you mean.
I know. But
Well,
mean,
I got a crazy thing that it's crazy because Big Brother, as just a fan, has really changed my life back in 2014. Do you remember Caleb Reynolds on there, Big Beast Mode Cowboy?
Of course.
Derek's season. Well, you know how everybody didn't like Caleb because of the whole Amber thing in like middle of the season.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. Yeah.
Well, I got on Twitter and I just defended him because everybody was like, "Oh, he's just in the house and everything." I'm like, I was like, do y'all really think this is this man's personality? He's in a house, locked in. All he got to do is sit there, and they're gonna narrate him being a stalker.
Yeah,
because and stuff like that. Well, his mom messaged me. And I thought it was fake. I thought it was just some random person, Next thing you know, she's like, "Hey, I got another son who's a pastor. You should come to our church." All right. So I went all the way to Kentucky, Katie's Kentucky, and went to their church. And I ended up moving there, and I lived there for like 9 years.
No kidding.
Yeah, I knew Caleb really well. Everything. I still know Caleb really well.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, I've never met Caleb, so
really,
you tell him I said Steve, the first boot, the guy who did a cameo in season 20.
Weren't you the second boot?
I was first boot. I was number one.
You were first. You were number one. Oh, so there was only 16 people in that season.
Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was in the house for a week, and then I was booted. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Number one in your hearts and minds, right here.
Okay, so that's the season. That's the season that. Wait, do they do that on the? Are you in the house a full week before they come on the show? Is that what it is?
So you're in the house 5 days before the show kicks on. And then I was in the house until July 6th. I want to say.
Okay. Okay, that's why I'm confused.
Our season started June 20th. And then I was kicked out of the house July 6th or 7th. 6th or 7th, one of those days.
Yeah. So the night that it comes on, they showed you leave then.
No, the night it
No?
came on, there were
Nobody
3
left the first night that year?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. The first episode were the initial competitions. The second episode was the veto competition.
Veto.
And then the third episode was the vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't exit like cornbread. So
Yeah,
I emailed him and I think I'm blocked now.
okay.
Because he's an EMT in Georgia.
Oh, is he
wow.
really?
Yeah, and so I emailed him and I was like, "Hey, I'm a paramedic and blah blah blah." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore."
Wow.
Yeah.
He has such a bad impression.
We just-
And I emailed Glenn too, and he never replied to me. So
Yeah. Glenn's good people. He was in Bronx Narcotics, NYPD. He's doing his thing. But he's good people. He's solid. I'm sure Cornbread is solid too. A lot of people just don't want to talk about their seasons or whatnot. I mean, maybe they're talked out, or maybe I don't know. I can't put myself into their space. But like I said, I talk all day lecturing. I'm an open book. What you see is what you get. So I'm more than willing to help out any first responder who needs me. And I'm one of those guys that'll always do that. Any other first responder ever need, like, if you need me to help build you a house or whatnot, I'd be there to help. If I could monetarily handle it and do it, I would do it in a heartbeat without thinking. So
I love it.
And if you ever needed me back for whatever the reason, I'll talk to my wife. If you're interested in talking to her, I'll see how that goes and I'll contact you. You know what I mean? Let you know what's what, and then maybe we could set something up in the future.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
oh heck, we got both of you on. I ain't scared.
Yeah, but
So,
she's beautiful. If I can't be in the same screen as her, she's too pretty. So then all the questions are going to come. How the hell did you end up getting married? And listen, I get it. I shot for the stars, man. And I tell my students that all the time. I tell my friends that all the time. You shoot for the stars, man. She was the pretty girl that everybody was afraid to approach. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to give it a shot. And I did. And 20-something, what are we married? 23 years? 23 years later.
Wow.
What's up?
That's great.
Good.
House,
That's great.
kids, dogs, cats. What up now? This is our life. This is how we're rolling. So,
That's awesome.
It's the American dream.
I love it.
that is, man. That's it.
All right,
Overshoot.
Steve. Well, we're gonna have to get out of here. We've ran over our time a little bit, and that's okay.
Shame on us for having fun, Glenn. Shame
How
on
dare
us.
Absolutely.
How
Really enjoyed talking to you, Steve.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you so much.
No,
Very much.
Thank you guys for
Coming
having me.
on.
I know my name's not down here, but I'm JT.
JT, it's great
Yeah.
to meet you guys. Bobby, Deanna, and of course Glenn. It's
Good to
great to
meet
meet
you
all
too.
y'all.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I'll leave you all
And
at it. If you ever need anything, you know my email. You know where to contact me.
Thank
Guys,
you.
stay safe and best of luck. And I love the podcast. Keep doing your thing. I think you guys are doing great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you
All right,
very
guys.
much. We appreciate
See you,
it.
man.
Good night.
And
Good
hey,
night.
tell all the Big Brother people, email
Oh.
me.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to get some crazies, but all right. All
Hey,
right.
It's
good.
okay.
Good. We
We're
want
not
'em.
Crazy.
Have you seen this cast of people I'm with?
Look, I can't get Caleb to get on with us to save my life. I swear. I've talked to him. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna come on, and then he doesn't message me back. I'm like, where you at?
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm about to talk to the pastor. We're going to put an end to this.
Well, I've actually
Yeah.
talked to his mom to get him to try,
Oh.
and she got him to message me, and then he was like, yeah, and then he got sick. So then I haven't had contact with him since.
Oh, man. Well, listen, I'm sure eventually he'll come on.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
You guys-
busy. You know, he got his own little, I guess, company now, so he's busy with that and everything.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
I think he's got 2 kids now.
Oh, God bless him, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
listen. I
And a
know that's-
stepdaughter.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, good for him. All right, y'all. Well, I'm out of here. Guys, have a blessed night. Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
You too.
Thank you,
see
Steve.
y'all.
We appreciate it.
Thank
That was
you.
great.
Thank
Come
you
back
for being
sometime.
here.
Appreciate you all. All right, peace,
You
guys.
too. All right. Good
See ya.
night.
Yeah.
Wow, that was great. That
It was.
that whole show flew by.
It did.
And I
I'd
didn't-
like to
I
have
didn't
him back
realize it.
again.
Yeah. And for once, Bobby was quiet, so
Yeah.
you know it'd be a good show.
I know it.
He's still
I'm
quiet.
gonna-
Maybe
I'm gonna have
he
to,
doesn't listen to us. So.
I'm gonna have to
Quiet.
dip real quick because I got.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Well, Dina, anything before you go, real quick? Anything? Any
Uh,
updates? Anything going on you want to tell us about?
Just tomorrow night we have the reindeer games, and then
That's
Saturday
right.
we have Misfits.
Okay, sounds good.
I've got
All
labs
right.
in the morning, so I gotta get going.
Oh, they're gonna probe you. Oh.
Oh no!
All
Sorry,
right, yeah.
I'm so tired
Yeah.
today.
That's all good. Mountain Dew. It gets you through life.
I know I need to buy me some Mountain Dew.
It works. It works wonders.
It
Get my
All right.
doesn't work on me. Well, my medicine works on me.
Yeah.
Bobby, I'll go ahead and hide you, Dina. You have a good night,
All
and
right.
we will talk to you soon.
You guys too.
Night, Dina.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, Bobby, what'd you think?
That was pretty good. Abstract topics, kind of a
Yeah.
speed dating kind of show. I didn't know I'd had to use my skills of conversation. I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot because I wanted to switch. Of course, I tied the sports in with Steve a little bit too, but I wanted to do some sports stuff, and since I was a fan of the team, I thought this will be a good time. But now we're getting back to the paranormal real soon, and we've got lots of paranormal stuff planned in the very near future. So
I was tired when I started this. No, I'm not. What the fuck, man? I got the podcast adrenaline. Love that stuff. Podcast makes me just go, if it's a good one, I have to stay up and I'll watch like documentaries for another hour.
Well, Steve was so wound up with the science and data. Well, I mean, the first guy was with the data. Mark was with the data and stuff too, but Mike and but to hear an academic say that, he knew Dr. Meldrum, so
He did a half hour on that, and then said Jeff Meldrum. Like, excuse me,
yeah.
Jeff Meldrum. Okay, I'm awake now. Hello, I'm back.
Exactly, and he knows the facts.
Beckley Tepe?
It's one of three things: they're liars, they're crazy, or they're telling the truth.
That's one of the things they say about Jesus. Either he's lying, he's crazy, or he's Christ.
I don't have an argument for that, so
You shouldn't. He's your Lord and Savior. How dare you?
I don't know how to argue with that. So, yeah, it was a great show. And Brenda, I hope you're feeling better. By the way, sorry I've been out of touch. I've been busy trying to get this trip all worked out. But yeah, it was a great show. I'm looking forward to maybe doing that again with Steve. I didn't realize when I back and forth, when you talk with people on email, you don't always get the depth of things. And of course, I told Steve we were going to talk law enforcement and stuff like that, but I was going to pick his brain with Big Brother. I never had an idea he had such a knowledge of the paranormal stuff.
Yeah, he busted out SLS. Damn.
Yeah, he was all in. I mean, and he was all in. So, yeah, that was great.
Half an hour segment there that's not even pertaining to anything else.
Yeah, and I kind of said, do agree with him on the SLS. You're trying to stick figure on my shoulder.
Yeah,
That's it. It's
I'm
that
not-
big. Don't
I
you
don't
see
like
it?
I don't like that or the spirit box, but if you put the STs with it, it's kind of cool because there's some evidence you can't fake there.
Yeah, I will agree with that with the Estes. Yeah, so because I've been a part of that. So in fact, you may be a part of that soon too.
I know
So,
when you mentioned that, I was like, oh shit.
yeah, so you get your mind right. So you may
You
be.
need to-
be a part of that.
You need to bump our buddy. I never got an email or a message.
I will do it.
But
I will do it.
I didn't. I wasn't gonna say anything. I mean, this guy's busy as hell. It's not my business.
Yeah, but you're in. So
Yeah,
you're in. So
not
we
worried
got you.
about it.
So
Kind of excited because it kind of puts a little respect on my name to have a little bit of heavy behind me.
yeah. Well, what about chopped liver?
No, I'm talking about like an organization.
I know what you mean. Well, we may give you the secret handshake this time. So you never know.
That's not my hand, people. That's not. Quit shaking.
Bobby, put that away. You're in public.
Put it down.
Don't make me call Mrs. Dizzle. So,
Joke's on you. She doesn't know where we're at.
She follows you. She
Does.
stalks you. All right, guys. Well, Bobby, what do you got coming up?
It's kind of a weird week because Christmas is coming up, but I do have Jeremy Rogers with Ozark Bigfoot Research on Sunday, and it should be a good one. He had a traumatic brain injury in the war, and does a lot of Bigfoot research. I think it's gonna be fun.
Cool.
He leads Ozark OBRO.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is. I think
you're right. Yeah.
Real cool cat. I love guys like that because I can just sit back and listen. I turn into a little kid slurping my coffee. I think Roger Williams from Squatch and Holler may be co-hosting.
Oh, nice.
The one he comes on here sometimes whenever we're doing it. Squatch and Holler. I think Roger may I saw Roger's UK guy, Daniel Lee.
Well, you were talking about the traumatic brain injury. I'm pretty sure I told you one of my partners on the ambulance was in a bad wreck and had a traumatic brain injury. And from that point on, he could see dead people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I told Jeremy about that. I said, like 70% of the people I talked to have had those, and they start seeing that afterwards. He goes, really? I didn't know that. I said, hell yeah, man. Long Island Bigfoot's a textbook case.
Yeah. Yeah. My friend had to go to training, so it was about to drive him crazy. So
I bet. Good Lord.
JT, what about you? What you got coming up? Oh, you're muted, so we don't really know.
Oh, shoot. I was vaping, so I muted. Just the Thursday night show with talking about the Big Brothers reindeer games and Saturday's Misfits, and Shelton's supposed to be making an appearance. I'm not sure. He's kind of got a mind of his own, so we'll see.
Tried to kill you last week.
Yeah, he was trying, but then he remembered that he was nothing without me, so.
He enjoys the hand, so it's not the hand.
I think he just likes to threaten me a lot. He tries to scare me. It just doesn't work anymore. It still scares Bobby, though. Bobby was worried about me.
Bobby was worried about you. I was worried when you were on your show last night. I was like, I tried calling
what? Oh, shoot. My medicine puts me out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's like I cannot stay awake. And so the show go off at 10:30, and I was waiting, and next thing you know, I was waiting so long it was 5 a.m.
Well, we were done by 5 a.m.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I was waiting and I woke up. It was 5 a.m. I fell asleep waiting.
I was in bed by 5 a.m. So I didn't stay up and wait on you that long. Let's see. Who do we got coming up next week? We have an author next week who has written who's written a new book published called The Rising Order. It's basically, if you're a fan of the Homeland or Divergent, you'll probably like this novel she's written. So we will have her next week. And then the following week, we are off for Ho-Ho Day. Merry Christmas. So
I'm trying to decide when I'm going to air an episode those 2 weeks.
I've got one that I probably will too. So
I've got like 10 in the hopper, but I don't know which one I want to burn. Tomorrow night, maybe. Those of you in the know. So if not, it may be the best episode I've got. So it's Schrodinger's episode at this point.
Okay, well, we'll see. And I'm gonna take a trip, so I'm gonna let you all run the show, and I'm just gonna check in on Saturday night. So I'm just remoting in. So I hope you got this, JT.
I can do it.
Screw it up.
Okay, or Bobby, either one, I don't care. So
Bobby, you want to do it
Saturday night? Nah,
yeah.
I don't need that responsibility.
Damn it!
I don't know what I'll be doing.
I got it.
I don't even know what I'll be doing. I'll probably be tucked in a hotel, probably in Virginia. So I'll be checked in. But the missus wanted to definitely have a backup plan because she's like, "What if we don't get the hotel? What if it snows? What if it doesn't like?" What if it does anything? Come on. So she was thinking of the show first. It really scares me. So All right, guys. Well, we will see you tomorrow night, 11 o'clock. JT, stay up for the big chat.
I will try. That's late to be starting. I mean, usually, like right now, it's after 11. We're getting ready to go off, and I'm going to sleep.
Getting old.
I'm gonna have a snack. Watch Joe Rogan go to sleep.
Here, winter is warmer. Winter season.
At the Sportcat Show.
That's right. So you all have a wonderful evening. We will talk to you soon. I'm turning over the regular scheduled radio audience back to whatever it was. I don't remember. So you all have a wonderful night. We will catch you soon. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, and just do whatever that other stuff is. We need a lot of it.
Click that bell.
Have a good night, y'all.
Click that. Yeah, ring that bell.